Okay, Dave.
Hey Sin, how are you?
Good. Welcome, everybody.
Yes, it'll be quite the evening for sure. Lots of Waldo. You probably will consume more Waldo in your entire life in the next 3 hours than you have previously in your life up until this point. So,
All right, let's give a quick rundown of the game, though. If those aren't familiar with this, it's Where's Waldo or Where's Wally in the international naming. It's going to be the easy category here. It's actually a really interesting speed run. Waldo is not in the same spot every time, so the runners will have to find Waldo, and they're basically going to be trying to guess or anticipate where he's going to be on the screen on any screen. So it's a bit of a challenge. It's random.
yeah, it's basically all RNG except it's not at the same time. So they're going to be doing a manipulation like right at the very beginning. I think, anyway. I'm pretty sure most of them will go for it. And so in theory, the first level should be the same as long as they do the manipulation properly, and then all downhill. So it's very much like a reaction-based thing at that point.
Yeah, there's actually speedrun tech here, so we can just introduce the runners as well.
Yeah, it sounds good.
All right, so I know Joe Gnome. They're all big in the retro community here. Joe Gnome's current world record holder, 2 minutes, 183. Yeah, just above the 2 minute mark. We have the Steel Thunder, also pretty new to the game, but she's also big on the retro community. And when she's not grinding Chippendale, etc., she's doing some Waldo runs. And she's got 201, 183. Then you got Crack Attack. I think he's been running this game since
Forever.
games existed, I feel like.
Yeah, no, when I was new to Twitch, I remember his like 24-hour stream where he had Waldo for 24 hours.
Yeah. So Crack's rolling with just another 2 minute flat, 849. We're all like milliseconds separating everybody here. And then FCJ. FCJ is another big retro runner, big on Contra. He's been killing it. He's very close to Joe's time. He's got the 2 minute and 417 milliseconds. So we're talking milliseconds separating everybody, and anybody can get. What we're hoping for is sub 2 today.
Yeah, that's the pipe dream. Sub 2 rather is very elusive. So
yeah. So we're gonna kick it off with a race.
correct.
To start. Nice.
Yeah. So it'll be a no reset race to start, and then afterwards there's probably going to be a couple of resets, just warning everybody. But yeah, it's really reset heavy. Like there's no possible way for the most part that you can get sub 2 on this game and waste like 10 seconds in a stage, so there's going to be a lot of resets. But yeah, we'll get them queued up, they're ready to go, and we'll count them down, and then there will be a race. So whoever is the best, they'll be like the Waldo champion for now. And then we'll see if somebody can get that elusive sub 2. Alright, I just gave him the prompt to go, so it's very possible. Fire. That is legitimate. Sub 2 in this game is really hard. As Fields just said, I think there's 2 tasks. I actually did a task myself, based on the manipulation that they'll probably go for. But then, who was the other person? Tigdon did the other task?
Yeah, Tigdon.
And what was his task? Because I think mine was like originally 158 or 157 or something, but I think he beat mine, right?
I don't remember the exact time. It's close though. Maybe 156. Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's slightly lower. Because I know for sure he had like a better pattern on the slots. Okay, count them down, and we'll start that. Alright. So, as I said, the first, I'm assuming they'll count down. You can see here, after they select the menu or whatever, they'll go to easy. This is the easy category. And they'll allow the clock to run down. There's like this screen that says like Ticket to the Moon. And as it counts down, it goes down to I think like 995 or something like that, and it just kicks you out of that screen. So that actually manipulates the first screen. And then, as I said, like beyond that, it's very, very hard to control. Like when I was doing that task, like it's within tenths of a frame that you have to successfully manipulate from like one screen to the next screen. Like you literally have like variants of like 7 frames sometimes to get like a good pattern. So if they did the manipulation properly, in the bottom right corner, they'll be able to find Waldo pretty much immediately. So you'll see them like zip pretty much to the right corner, all of them. You can see. So now we're going to see a little bit of a variation here. Like nothing will be the same from this point forward. So actually one thing, if you want to pipe in and explain that I don't know completely well, like understand, there's like some kind of like overworld RNG.
Yeah, you can just lose random frames on the overworld, and I don't know if it's like loading the map for the the next area or not, but you do lose random frames.
Yeah, so how impactful is that, or can that be? Because I know that can happen, I just don't know the extent of like what it causes or anything like that.
I don't think it's enough to break a run, but I mean, if you're frames away from a sub 2, yeah, that's it.
Alright, so the other thing that we can probably talk about as they're just approaching that is the subway. It is a major choke point. There's 3 okay patterns. One is really the only pattern that you want to see though. So every stage up until this point is like kind of okay, but then the subway will definitely make or break a run. So what is the difference between the best subway and then the second best subway and then the worst subway pattern?
Okay, well, look at Joe's subway right now. He's got to get the spectacles and Waldo and then exit. So he's got to go all around to get those. Where most people can just hold A, go straight. It's kind of like crack attacks going right now, and just make it across with no issues. So that's the pattern you want. And there's one, you literally can just hold A and you go straight across.
Yeah, so it's the so-called God subway, and doesn't really come up super often. So you'll definitely see a lot of points where they might get to a point in the run where they get to the subway on a good pace, but then they just reset because there's no way.
And then slots, you need to get 3 Waldos. When you're on pace, it's very easy to misstep and screw up a slot. So it ends with one of those tense moments of clicking right. Like Steel Thunder running into a couple of issues here, getting the middle slot, the fast slot.
Look at Crack Attack and FCJ's time. Like
yeah.
212 and 212. Like that's not silly at all.
And there you have the moon. Look at that beautiful moon.
Yeah, maybe that's like a question for the chat is why is Waldo on the moon anyway? We don't think anybody has ever really answered that question. So if anybody in chat would know that, that's pretty good.
So Joe got the worst subway. 250 because he had to navigate like 3 times around the whole thing. Like in a race, it's tough when you get a bad subway. It's been raced a few times now, and the subway definitely makes or breaks it.
Yeah, no, it's really terrible. Yeah, see, we just have to save the 50 seconds. Fiesel's right, no problem. And I think the Earth is red because it's just bleeding. There's no other good explanation or like answer for that. So
this is the quality Bethesda game right now. Just so everybody knows.
That's actually something to point that out there. I think this is like Bethesda's first game, literally.
And then you got Home Alone, which was from the same designers.
Yeah.
Classic NES.
So, if we take the timer, it was Crack Attack, FCJ, Steel Thunder, and then Genome. So, Crack Attack is the undisputed world champion of at least one race when it comes to Waldo currently. So, I guess now we'll start to see the resets and stuff like that, but...
Yeah, I don't know if everybody's identified what Waldo actually looks like on the screen because it goes so fast, but it's a few pixels. I mean, you can tell after a while of watching it, and you'll have a while of watching it, 3 hours. But you get used to it. Your eyes train to look for his little hat. He's got a little bit of a different stance every now and then.
Every so often, he is a different color, though, right? Like in the forest, he can be like a greenish.
Oh no, well in easy he doesn't change colors, but in medium and
Okay.
hard his color palette can change as well. And the screen is a little larger in medium and hard, and then the cursor is smaller. In
Man, what
easy
a
you have a giant cursor, so but if you press A and Waldo's not under it, you lose a little bit of time, but you got plenty of time in the easy mode. In hard you might run out of time. It's actually a really fun speed run.
It's really weird too, because like the way that the cursor works, that was something that I was kind of confused about when I was doing that task. Is if you push A, like it's very finicky, and I don't know whose sound is being captured right now, but you might be able to actually hear it. But if you push A, like frames before moving right over top of Waldo, sometimes it'll register, and your cursor doesn't need to be on Waldo to actually find Waldo. But then other times, like it's so hypersensitive that the frame, like literally to the frame, like the cursor needs to be on Waldo to find Waldo. Otherwise, you get hit with like that weird like sound or whatever. Which I don't think really, there's no penalty for that in technically easy because you have so many seconds on the clock, right?
Yeah, but so basically the runners don't even have time really to look for Waldo. I mean, there's maybe a little bit here and there, but technically as soon as the map loads, they kind of instinctively look at certain quadrants of the screen and just hope that Waldo's there, and they move to that position and hit A. But they don't really know if Waldo's going to be there or not. So it's just a guess, and then they go. The cave is a little weird though. The cave, as soon as the cave loads up, Waldo is usually just down and right to where the cursor is, and you have to press A immediately. So he's like in the dark, and your cursor is like a flashlight, and you're kind of looking for him.
Yeah, it's really weird too, because I actually did test that, but I found like the RAM values at the time to make Waldo visible in the cave, so I could like literally see him just moving up and down or whatever. And his pattern is really weird because the way that actually works, at least when I was testing that, I don't know if it's like C dependent or something like that. Like I don't know if it's RNG dependent or if it's just like his general pattern. But he kind of starts on the top left and he walks down, and then he moves a little bit right and he goes up and then down and then up and then down. He kind of like zigzags all the way up and down like multiple times. But almost always when you get into the cave,
I got Joe Gnome second best Subway. Just sorry.
No. You call it out. He's on a good pace already. Look, he's gonna redeem himself.
I mean,
Sub 2.
He's 146 going into the castle.
Yeah, I think he was saying earlier.
Castle,
144 is the thing.
Yeah.
I think the cutoff, right?
I mean, we might see a moon. We might see a moon. He's gonna finish it.
So it's actually worth noting on the slots, if you mess it up, you can't just reset. Like you actually have to like get all three. Like you have to put like all three slot inputs or whatever to get out of that slot thing. So you can't just like cancel the one that you previously messed up.
Yeah, this game, I mean, it looks ridiculous almost. Like why are we speedrunning Where's Waldo? But at the same time, it's got just a little bit of everything. Like a manipulation to start off. If you play frame perfect, you can probably map out where Waldo's going to be on every screen. And then you got that slot machine. There's just that tense moment right at the end.
Appeals to gamblers everywhere. But yeah, so that's actually why I made the task originally at the time, because the original task was just there. But nobody had that manipulation, and I think, again, correct me if I'm wrong, FCJ came up with that manipulation, or he noticed it? Or did he notice it based on what somebody else did? Because I'm not quite sure about the origin of whoever figured it out.
Yeah, I know FCJ was grinding it, and I think he brought it up first. I don't know if anybody knew of it beforehand. The bigger time save was just mashing in the beginning, and usually Waldo was at the top of the screen, which would save a little bit of time, being at the top of the train station screen. So most people would just mash to hopefully get that. Because when you use the manipulation, you're always bottom right.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, So that was like the point of the task. So
Yeah, it's enough to get sub 2, I think, even with bottom right, but
at that point you're taking a lot of energy. And yes. What's up, Emporio? There's a lot of Waldo for sure. But that was the whole point of the task that I made, was to like ride out the manipulation on FCJ and then figure out how far that you could carry that. So if you absolutely did everything within, I think like it was a 7-frame window, the entire time that I did the task, there was 7 frames or less that you had to work with on every single screen. Yeah. Yeah, you had like literally 7 frames or less to get to the God Subway, so it's pretty painful.
Steel Thunder getting a lot of cities though. Oh, but city's stressful. Waldo's in like a car, he's in a manhole. Sometimes he's dealing drugs up on the corner.
Yeah, I mean, Waldo is, you know what? He's actually full of controversy. Did you know that? At least in Canada?
Honestly, I've seen him just about to take a swing at a child in the city as well. Like, he's a suspect guy. I don't know.
He was legit banned from libraries in Canada a long time ago. And then they brought him back, so. But, he was banned a long time ago because of hardcore nudity, believe it or not.
Oh, the nudity. Okay.
Yeah, no, it was like way back in like grade 6, and that was great.
You know, so I don't know if Nintendo analyzed every screen. They might have.
No,
there's some stuff going on in that forest here, though.
It was the old books, which makes me think, like, I don't know if anybody else had those books as a kid, like, not the Waldo books, but there's, like, this giant Waldo book that was, like, basically a poster that I remember seeing, like, literally one time, and then nobody else had it in my life before. So I don't know if anybody else has ever seen that, or if it's, like, some kind of figment of my imagination at this point, but... So... in terms of consistency, I would say probably like the city is the first kind of reset point, right?
I would say forest even. You want forest? Left side forest. I think crack won't even go past a forest that's not left side. Nobody even looks at the right side. When forest loads, you're looking at the left and down.
So it's weird too, because I think in the task that I made, like I don't even get that spawn. I think it was like more in the middle, because the only left side spawn that I remember was actually the city, which was like right up close, like basically when the city loads or whatever.
Oh, that's fairground. So fairground, you can just hold A as soon as fairground loads, and Waldo might be right under your cursor. And same thing with castle.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I meant fairground, and then the city I had to move over a little bit to the right, I remember. Because I couldn't change the pattern no matter what. But no, sorry, just to finish that too, with the cave, how Waldo loads, almost always, like he's, like if you watch where the timer is, I guess, on any screen, where it shows the timer on top of Waldo or whatever, like he walks down vertically, and then he goes up and then down, and up and down. It's kind of like this weird zigzag motion, but like 8 times out of 10, when you get to the cave, as long as you're like, kind of like down in the right side corner and you're mashing A, you like catch him on that pattern when he's walking down. So then you can like move him back into whatever that square that he needs to walk into it. Like I don't know what he's actually walking into there, but it's actually really weird that it works out like that, because he's actually got a pretty strong walking pattern where he goes kind of weird, and he's like zigzagging all over the place. And if you actually let him walk like the entire way, he goes in the top left corner and then he like despawns. He spawns in the top left corner and then he starts getting stuck in like the wall and the rock up there. So I meant to actually make like a video of that when I tasked it a long time ago, but honestly forgot. But
you know what, Dave? It's just what Waldo does in the dark is just better to leave it. Just leave it alone.
Yeah. So maybe you can answer that question. Nick said, "Does anybody know what crack attack's train strat is? He isn't doing the minute."
I think he's mashing, so he gets that top, hopefully the top part of the screen.
So is that reliable? Like, I mean, like it should be reliable in the sense that if you wait out the clock and you can get a certain kind of seed, in theory you should be able to get a certain seed if you mash on a certain frame, right?
Right. I mean, it's as reliable as your mashing speed.
Yeah.
It's good enough for crack. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So if you can reset and mash and then do that, then sure. Yeah, you probably could see consistency.
Crack had at GDQ. I had the pleasure of meeting Crack, and he had a Waldo station set up. Anybody could come in and quickly do a run of this game. It's pretty nice to pick up. Maybe 3-minute time average. So
yeah, I've literally run it one time. I succumbed to the peer pressure of the Waldo community, and I ran it one time, and it was a 3:14, I think. So.
And you're mostly just watching this overworld screen of Waldo just strolling to the next area. The little music playing. It gets in your head.
Yeah, it's maybe like the one time. I'm glad it's pretty muted. The overworld theme, some people say it's okay. See? Like that calling guy, sour please. But no, I mean, I'll pass on that one myself. It's a pretty horrendous overworld theme, I think. See, actually, the silly thing about that is, like, when I did the task, you spend so much time in the overworld, literally, because Waldo is walking forever, that I think, literally, when I was looking at the task, like, the end task ended up being something like 10,000, like, 83 frames or something like that. Literally, like, 9,500 of those frames were in the overworld. It's really a long time. Like, if you actually, I'd be interested if you took, like, every single time, like the amount of time, like segment-wise, that you're not waiting on the overworld and you just took it from the stage, what the actual splits would be at the end. Like, it'd probably be like 20 seconds or something like that.
Yeah.
So Waldo is walking for a long time.
Yeah, Emporio, so Steel Thunder actually had a really, really good pace on a run recently. That probably would have beat the record that is now, but had an issue in the slots. So I'm kind of betting on Steel Thunder to get that run again. If the subway has it, she's got it in her. She's grinded Wheel of Fortune RNG and win, lose, or draw RNG. Like, NES RNG is, in some of those games, is brutal. And she's pulled out the record in those, so.
Let's maybe theorycraft for a second, although Crack Attack looks like he's going to finish run here. But in theory, I think my task was, I'm pretty sure it was either very early 158 or very low 157. RTA, do you think that's possible? Because sub 2, like, people have been trying to get sub 2 in this one for a while. Like, that's kind of like holy grail kind of benchmark time.
Yeah, I don't think so, because you spend a little bit of time looking for Waldo on a screen and you're gonna lose that task time.
Yeah, so I mean, like, to get close to the task is probably a little bit tricky, but 159 for sure. But then, like, that's where I was trying to say, like, 158. Do you even think that's kind of within the realm of possibility?
If it's gonna be a sub 2, it's gonna be a high 159. I feel like we could all be amazed tonight. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe somebody could just beat my task. Just set it on fire.
Crack Attack's put what, like, over 50,000 attempts in?
Yeah, he wrote somewhere that he was gonna pass like 60,000, and I know, like, I don't even know when he started running it, because it predates my Twitch existence. Because I remember after I created an account, like, I ran into him at some point, and he was already running Waldo.
I love how when FCJ first picked up the game, his splits just said Waldo, 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 Waldo. He didn't take it too seriously, but that all changed. Like, Wald October started, and you had people dressing up as, like, Oddlaw and Waldo, and he got serious. The splits were named properly. The timing came down. Like, it was amazing. Like, it just revolutionized speedrunning for Waldo.
See, I know FCJ, okay? Did you know that about FCJ? Prior to Waldo in his life, he was like a hardcore gangster from Compton. Waldo saved his life, okay? That's actually a lie. That's a lie. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he started. I'm sure he got a bunch of people into it. If you don't have a Waldo run, I don't even know if you could say you're a speedrunner now. I don't know. That board has grown.
Alright, so Steel Thunder opting to finishing around 232. Yeah, see, I think that's kind of like a valid strategy in when it comes to speedrunning in general. Not necessarily for Waldo, but like any kind of game where you do get that loop, which is probably a little bit more painful in this game than it is any other game. You're resetting in like the first 10 seconds pretty much.
Yeah,
so I mean, finishing a run is maybe like mentally a good thing sometimes.
Another thing to note, so even though we're focused on easy right now because we want that sub 2, but medium and hard have been pushed further and further this past year and earlier this year as well. There was a kind of a weird glitch that happened in the game with the slot machine that happened 4 years ago on Feral Pigman's stream, and I think it was Nirm that just happened to clip it. Like, we're talking 4 years ago, and then Tigdwan was just like, let me see that glitch, and he was able to all of a sudden just reproduce it in RTA, and that suddenly changed the way hard and medium slots were done. It saves like 2 seconds.
It does.
Big time save.
The glitch itself is there's like an old man on the slots and he looks like a wizard or something like that. And as far as I understand how the glitch works, like if you somehow like spam A or like do it immediately, it makes the old man count as Waldo. So you can basically have a slot machine pattern of Waldo, and then the old man. But why does that not work in easy? Because I was aware of that glitch when I made that task, but I couldn't replicate it. And that was driving me bonkers because I was like, I tried everything. Like I actually tried like probably 7 different things and I was not able to replicate that. So why do you have any idea would it work on medium and hard? But
it seems to just be the timing. I don't know if the old man loads. FCJ with a second best subway there. See how that one goes. But yeah, I don't think the old man loads in the right spot.
Technically, this is that's pretty close. It depends on the castle, I guess. But
I'll tell you what, not a lot of runners are familiar with where Waldo will be in a castle because most runs just end at subway.
So maybe you can answer that question from Zazu, because you run it. I've only tasked it.
Yeah, you're peeking at certain quadrants of the screen of where Waldo usually is, and just after so many attempts, you kind of get trained. Your mind just gets trained to look at those spots, and if Waldo's not there, you're pretty much a reset.
Yeah. So from like the task perspective, when I was making the task, there's very favorable spots where Waldo can obviously spawn, and the fairground is like he can basically spawn like immediately where the cursor, because like whenever a level loads, the cursor is always kind of starting in the top left corner. But the fairground, and then I forget the name of the other one, the fairground and
the castle.
Yeah, sorry, the castle. Like Waldo can basically spawn right there. But everybody else, at least in the task that I made, like you had to move the cursor a little bit. But the idea was, I think like the most that I had to move the cursor was something like 12 frames to give you some kind of variance there. So I mean, like he was always kind of spawning like close to where the cursor started. But
yeah, it's always worth a try, especially in fairground, to just hold A as soon as it loads.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. Like you can do that in easy. The timer on medium and hard actually are lower. Like it starts lower than like 900 and whatever. So you can't actually spam. Like if you spam, you actually run out of time, and then Waldo can't go to the moon for whatever reason that he's going up there for. So
it's the old man in the subway you gotta watch out for. That guy will suck your time right away.
Dude. He like zaps. He actually zaps your time. Like he's a merciless killer. That dude. That's actually a thing. So like if you're in the subway and you let the cursor, I always thought that thing was a bullet as a kid, honestly. It doesn't really look like a subway at all. But if you let the cursor, bullet thing, whatever, go to... What is he, like, is he a whiz? Like, what does this dude? What does he even do?
He sucks. He's old man.
He
time,
sucks. That's it.
time.
That's the origin. He just sucks as a person.
I guess.
All right. Yeah. Like I don't know, dude. Anyway, whoever that guy is, maybe somebody in chat knows. You'll see him if Genome in particular gets this subway here. I don't know if he's supposed to be the wizard. Like I don't know who this guy is supposed to be, but
Well, the wizard. No, I think the wizard's friendlier looking.
but the wizard is supposed to be Waldo's friend. Like why would he
Yeah,
like mug
exactly.
him and like rough him up in the subway?
Nah, it's not the wizard, but the friendly. I think the wizard's on our side. I don't know what's going on in that subway. This is
Dude.
the hardcore Where's Waldo version, by the way. There's other Waldo games. This is the best one.
Confusing Waldo lore. This will haunt me tonight. There's a lot of things that probably. I mean, like, what's the square that Waldo is running into in the cave? Like, these are the questions that.
Actually, if anybody's even played Wayne Gretzky's Hockey for the NES, Bethesda basically just reused the sounds. So I think like the sound of finding Waldo is like in between periods or when there's a goal.
Oh no! When you score a goal, I think that's right. Actually.
Yeah. So that
Yeah, I
can
never even
throw
knew
you
that.
off a little bit.
Yeah. That's actually true.
Steel going into Subway. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, it's bad.
Yeah. So. I don't know again if anybody even saw that before she reset, but that guy anyway in the subway, if you let the cursor go on top of it, he literally like just drains all your time. I think so, Cyclone. Well, I think Sin can answer that, Fiesel. Luckily, I've never run this myself to this extent, so how does it feel,
Honestly,
Sin?
when you start getting paces and you just see the bad Subway, it's just another scar to add to the many.
It does the lore.
It's worse getting to slots though and choking on the slots. So
we don't know why Waldo has jaundice. We don't. It's a quirk of the NES, I guess. But that's an excellent question. Yeah,
it's exciting though. You never know which run's gonna be it. When you just like zone in on every Waldo, you get that run.
See, like there is something to be said there too, because the longer they go without resetting, because at that point, like they're running every single split probably within not even a second variance. Like you can't see their splits right there, right? Like nobody can. Like they're only capturing the timer.
Right.
But like I guess you can visually see, like if you watch like somebody like Steel Thunder splits or like anybody else's splits, I think for the most part, you can literally see their splits are green because they're ahead of pace according to their splits as they're running it right now. But you can literally see, like if they find Waldo and then they continue, how low the red is. So like sometimes they're still green or like whatever, but the amount of time that timer turns red, like you can literally see it's like probably for like less than a second. So they're probably losing like less than a second or about maybe like a second off or whatever. So it really comes down to like they're actually doing this really consistently. But then you see like right there, I don't know if Genome would reset on that one or not.
Joe's got a pretty good pace right now. That was a fast fairground. His forest looked good.
So he must have in his own PV like time save or something, because that's a kind of a tricky thing to do. Is they're running this against their own splits, right?
Yep. So he lost 2 seconds in City. That was hard.
Yeah. So at that point, I don't know. I think Genome has like a pretty big loss when it came to the castle.
Yeah, Steel's got a loss in the slots. FCJ's pretty consistent.
Yeah, no, I'm unfamiliar with like recent PVs and stuff like that. I remember seeing one of Genome's, but I think it was still 201 at that point. So I'm not quite sure where like everybody's individual time losses or whatever. But the point I was trying to make was like they're basically running like every single split like within a second, so or probably even less at that point. So they're actually being pretty consistent. And I agree with you, Ro. Waldo is definitely better than Batman. we have some good stuff there. But this is a really weird one.
It's one of the games you have to pick up and play, and you'll see why it just becomes so addicting. Or you might just completely hate it, one or the other.
I fall into that category. Like, I don't hate it, but it definitely wasn't enough to grip me. But at the same time, like, I can at least understand because it's a weird mixture of, like, luck, but at the same time, reaction. It's a really good mixture where I can at least understand, where it's like, okay, sure. Because at the same time, like, I wouldn't have understood that before, but we learned, like, Lufia 2, which, like, it baffled my brain. But we learned Lufia 2 recently, the Ancient Cave, and it's like 98 floors of RNG, and it's like, why would you ever do that? And it's the same kind of premise, I think, when it comes to Waldo, because it's like, it's just enough RNG to be different, like, every single time. But at the same time, like, it's just enough to keep you to come back or whatever, where it's like, you don't know what to expect each run. But at the same time, it gives you just enough control to, like, mitigate and stuff like that. So it's not like, it's so much RNG that every single time that you try to run it, it just completely destroys you. It's not like you're gonna waste like 40 seconds or something. So it's definitely one of those weird games that kind of fall into that category of like RNG heavy, but there's enough that you can do as like a realistic human person to like mitigate the RNG.
Yeah, plus it's only 2 minutes, so if you have to reset, it's not that bad. But it forces you to wait between each, Waldo walking session, so you get a little time to talk with Chad and think about your life choices.
Yeah.
So it like spreads out the game more than it is, like the more the gameplay. But then 2 minutes you reset. It's not too bad.
Yeah, no, it is very reset friendly, at least in that way.
I don't even see like sometimes I'm looking to find where Waldo, like, you want to help the person out. Like sometimes if you're quick enough, you can type it in chat, especially on medium or hard. So it's interactive as well.
He's a thug gangster. I mean, he does have that kind of strut on the overworld. And thanks, Miss Potato. I wouldn't say anti-Waldo. I think, like, legitimately, I think that's the sad part about Waldo. There's two things that makes me think of Conster. When I was a little kid, like, I love Waldo. I think most people, Waldo, Wally, wherever you're from, like, they had probably some kind of exposure. And then you grow up, and he just gets, like, completely abandoned. Just gone forever. And the other thing that it made me think about was I remember reading, like, a story from the New York Times, I think, in, like, probably, like, early 2000 or something. It was probably even before 2010 at this point. And some dude, like, situated from New York, had the idea of, like, this real-life Waldo event. And he dressed up as Waldo, and he posted on like Reddit and stuff like that and Twitter that he was gonna be wandering around. There's like a prize for somebody that would find him. Nobody participated. It's like, damn, dude. So whatever.
T-Rex Hunter. So the race, we did a race to kick things off, but now the goal is really just to either beat the world record, but also get that sub 2 minute in, so they can reset as much as they need to and do as many runs as they can in the next 2 hours. So their focus right now is to just get improve the record or get sub 2 or both.
At this point, like, I would think improving the record would probably mean sub 2 because it's so close to sub 2 to begin with. But
yeah, and you really have no time to look for Waldo. It's mainly just shoot from the hip, guess where he's going to be, and progress. And if you don't find him quick enough, it's basically a reset.
Yeah, correct, T-Rex. They usually have they have actually. They brought a couple back for Chase for the Record. But as Sin was saying earlier, like everybody's PVs here in particular are separated by like hundredths of a second. Like they're super close. They basically all have 2 and then something. So anybody could take it. Anybody could have like that run. But it's pretty reset heavy, as you guys are obviously saying. But at the same time, like it's a 2-minute speedrun, so what do you expect?
I feel like everybody's memorizing where Waldo is just by watching it.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, anybody seeing this, you could just go back and speedrun Waldo. And no, if I participate at Conster, they'd beat me pretty bad, I think, so.
There's been a lot of new runners to the game. Smooth Slim.
See, I don't even know. I think like Crack's old record, was it like 201 or 202? Like the first, because I remember probably like my Twitch account or whatever existed for 2 hours. Yes, I'm 2 hours old, guys. Sorry, 2 years and a little bit longer. And I remember originally like seeing that he broke the record, whatever. It was like 202 or 203 or something at that point. But I mean, at that point, like you're literally trading it in a matter of frames. So, yo, what's up, Grant? Yeah, like he literally had like a 24-hour Waldo stream. I think.
No, as of 2 years ago, his PB was still 2 flat, 2,849, and Vex with 2,787. So that was stuff from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So only FCJ and Joe Gnome pulled ahead at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I remember seeing it was like 2,000 attempts or something. So I think Steel Thunder just had the second best time so far. Genome, I believe, had a 206, and then Steel Thunder, she just had a 208.
Look at these beautiful fonts. Like they went to town making this overworld pretty.
Spend more time on... Oh, did he have a 205? I saw his 212. I must have missed the 205 somehow. So oh, sorry, he did have a 205. I did see that. And then I think Crack is still resetting, trying for the good paces. But so 205, 206 for Genome, and then Steel Thunder had a 208.
Yep.
So all within a few seconds of each other.
Yeah, Bauer, anytime you see them waiting to the 955, it'll automatically start the game on the same frame every time, and Waldo will be on the lower right in the train station. So there's like one screen they can manipulate.
Yep. But then beyond that, it's pretty tight. Like, I know when I was doing that task, just to put that into perspective, the pattern would change. So using FCJ's manipulation, like Waldo will always be in the bottom right corner. And the only person that's not going for that right now is Crack Attack. So if you go in the bottom right corner, whatever, you find Waldo, the next amount of frames, like when I was doing that task, you have like less than 7 frames usually before like the pattern completely shifts. So you have to be incredibly quick, otherwise you, even knowing where like Waldo will be, if you don't find him fast enough, like you get a completely different pattern or something. Which I think, by the way, I guess you can mention that too, because I don't quite understand how that works. But the subway pattern is partially determined by the fairground?
I don't think so.
There was something like that. I remember Tigdwan talking about that, I think, where it's like to alter the subway pattern that you get, like you actually have to get like a different pattern, I think, in the fairground or something.
Yeah, he was saying he was having trouble changing the pattern in subway, just going based on city alone, but I don't know. I don't know if that's 100% confirmed.
Actually, I don't see, that's weird too, because I don't know either. I forget what his response was, because I remember...
You know, I had a call over to Bethesda, and they haven't gotten back to me. I can't imagine why.
Yeah. I don't know, like probably now. Smooth. I mean, I can mute my microphone and go do that now.
There's a Badoom Doom combo of FFZ modes out there. There's some Waldo peaks. Gets in your head.
Yeah, somebody should like remaster that song. But see, like I forget what Tigduan responded with, because even thinking about that now, I was able to change the pattern from within the city and get like the God subway leading into the subway. And speaking of the subway, what does Steel Thunder have?
Dave, why don't you do a few attempts and, maybe jump on that leaderboard?
I did my part. I mean, I contribute to this community.
You just gotta feel it out in RTA, you know?
No, we're gonna abandon ship already and say no. I contributed the tasks that people were curious about, and I forced my brother into submitting a run during that Walled October thing. So, I mean, I did my part. Even if I don't ever run up there myself, I did my part. My brother's up there.
You say you tricked your brother?
Forced, not tricked.
Forced.
Forced,
Even.
yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yep.
He would certainly volunteer now to run it if he had known how good it was.
This is where commentary just descends, because we'll talk about like the extortion and the blackmail and the bribery that goes into like being a Waldo runner. Just no response. You know it's true. You're an extortionist, Sin.
I was just casually running the game one night because I think I saw a couple of runners like Weaker Youth and Super Mega Dave. They were just playing the game, and I was like, you know what? This seems like it could be fun. Just curiosity got me, and then I think I passed along the fever to FCJ, and then it all went downhill.
Well, you're a wholesome guy, Sin. See, I forced my brother. He didn't have an option. But actually, I think his time beat mine even. So the one time that I ran this, it was either again like 3:14 or 3:16 or something. And I don't know what his time is, but I'm pretty sure it was less than 3.
I wasn't there for the early age, the first stage when I guess the Kraken crew were going through the game. So when I got there, there was like a heavy set of dust on the ruins of the fairground in the city. We just dusted that off. Here we are.
So is anything like humanly feasible or like RTA change, or is it just kind of like people getting better over time because they obviously spend more time with it? Or has there been like actual, like what's the difference, I guess, between let's say like a 203 or something and then obviously like a 201? Is there actually a strategy behind that, or is it just like people just getting better because they're getting better over time?
Yeah, I mean, let's say let's say you get the best subway and you get a good cave. The rest is just instinct of where to go to on the screen, and it's whoever just got that instinct faster.
So what's the best cave and the split between the worst cave? Like how much time can you lose in the cave?
You can probably lose about 2 to 3 seconds even. Like you're not gonna you want a sub 39 cave if possible.
Okay,
you want to
that's
be
a good
leaving
marker.
the cave sub 39.
See, that's always kind of been random from like the viewer standpoint, like when I'm watching people, because like sometimes people leave and they're like +1 or whatever on the cave, but at that point they're probably running against their splits, whatever, that have time saves elsewhere, right?
Yep. Yeah, as Nick B said, God Fairground, where you hold A and you don't have to move the cursor at all. You get the instant. Now I don't know if you can get all of that in one run, in the same run. A good subway and the God Fairground and the God Castle, like that might not be possible in the game.
See, that's where I don't know if that would be RTA. Because I'm pretty sure if you check my tasks, like I did do that. I'm pretty sure the Fairground was the good one and the God Subway was for sure the God Subway. but I remember, like, again, it was within a 7-frame window. So you basically need, in other words, to do that, to run this and have every input perfect within 7 frames to at least get that off of like FTJ, sorry, manipulation at the beginning.
I'm seeing Crack take a lot of the lower right corner forest Waldo positions, so that's good. That
It
means
looks like he left the cave there at 40, so that's pretty good as well.
he's trying to keep the runs going.
No, I can appreciate that too. I mean, at this point, Crack Attack is obviously no stranger to resets, so I mean, and I like that mentality too. Like, there's two different mentalities there, I think, for sure, when you're just speedrunning in general. Is, you know, like kind of finishing a run and getting it out of your system, but at the same time, I do appreciate the people that can be like really reset heavy and kind of like go hard or nothing. So, I mean, when everything kind of lines up, it'll work out better.
Yeah, Crack was -1 on that.
Yeah, and jank subway pattern.
That's it. I mean, you can kind of gauge from cave, and then if the fairground's good, so. Fairground's tough, though.
What makes it so hard? Like, is it just like a weird spawn? Because I like, you have like obviously the really good spawn, and then
Yeah, if you don't get that top left, usually it's mixed up in the Ferris wheel section, but the Ferris wheel section, he can be in multiple spots. You might take a peek over there, and he's just not there. You're just a little off. That's why it's a tough one, because you're kind of almost halfway into the run, and it's stressful. And then the city's just as bad.
I wonder humanly, like, what goes into that, because pretty much every single Waldo person that I've seen run this has complained about the fairground. And I can understand the castle being kind of a choke point, because, like, for example, if you're always resetting on subway, you might not actually have practice, so you might not have like pattern recognition or something going into the castle, because you wouldn't just have that experience if you were setting a stage before every single time. But at least with the fairground, it's like you at least play the fairground every single time before you reset at the subway, so it's like what makes the fairground so tricky.
I don't know, maybe they, you know, you gotta be at the design desk and be like, all right, how do we make Waldo harder to find? All right, let's change the color, let's add more, you know, more junk over here on this part of the screen. Like, let's change the color palette. Like, there had to be so much to go into it, because when you first tested the game, I don't know how easy he was to find. And they certainly made it harder.
Yeah, they probably didn't add any of that like stuff around him. He's just like one single sprite. Can you imagine if that was like the Waldo game that we got? There's like no background at all.
Yeah, like the early beta.
That would be amazing if there was like a beta or prototype version that existed, but the only thing that was different from retail in the beta was there's no subway level.
You read reviews of like this game, and they're like they really abhor the fact that Waldo's so hard to figure out. You know, he looks too small, and how does anybody think that's Waldo? But that's the challenge. It was so obvious. It would be too easy.
Well, legitimately, the subway is annoying. Like, it's actually annoying. Because even as like a kid, like it's really complex and stuff, like what you actually have to do to get through there. So considering obviously the main demographic, sorry, back then would have been what, like, I don't know, 5-year-old kid or something, I'm not sure. Like, it's actually horribly complex for probably what they were asking. Oh, especially yeah, on medium and hard. Like, it's actually a lot harder then.
Yeah, like you get to the subway right now, and if you try to just to get your first run, and you don't even know what to do, because you can press B to alter the paths. Like, a lot of people don't know that, and then forget it. The paths are really confusing to figure out how you're going to get to the end.
Well, some of them are actually counterintuitive. Like, they go against logic, because they could like aim one way and then you start following it, but then you wind up in like a different direction. Yeah, like the top kind of like, you know, like where the exit is, like the top like right and the bottom right kind of sections, like sometimes you like go straight but then you end up going down and like to the right or something. So
I wonder who has the best subway system. I can tell you the New York subway system is not that good.
I can tell you that Edmonton's is non-existent. Like, anybody that has a subway system is a lot better than ours, at least.
So I wonder if it was just like a play on like, you know what, most subway systems are this confusing, and here you go. Let's just throw it in the game.
So FCJ.
FCJ's playing it. That was second best subway?
So they said 144 entering the castle might be... Yeah, at that point, like, you're relying on RNG. But this should still be a really good finish for the most part.
Yeah, I think the second best subway loses about 2 seconds compared to the best subway. 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. It's 2:05 again there from FCJ.
Steel Thunder just chilling. By now, everybody's really settled in. Gotta be.
We need that dude from like WrestleMania or whatever. Or that box. What does he do? Boxing or WrestleMania? No, not WrestleMania. Let's get ready to rumble guy.
I don't know. I know what you mean.
He's got a pretty iconic voice.
I think it's boxing. Could be wrestling, but...
Ottawa's LRT. We have, in Edmonton, we have an LRT, but it's got some major problems. Like, major problems. I mean, it's functional for the most part, but there's definitely... Actually, like, when we went to AGDQ, Kat and I, in Washington, even seeing, like, the Washington kind of, like, subway system is crazy. Like, it blew my mind how, like, large it is underground. And how an actual functional subway should exist and be like. Because here, it's very restricted, and it's just... Like, even New York, I'm sure it would be infinitely better, but...
We can all agree some of the nicer caves, I guess, and caves and forests up there in Canada.
Probably. I mean, like, it's actually pretty here for the most part, and kind of like scenic nature and stuff. But what does a forest do when we have a non-functional subway system, huh? Actually, I honestly prefer the forest than the subway, so I guess that works out. But alright, so it looks like FCJ was taking a bit of a break there after that 205. Can respect that. It looks like Crack Attack is not reset, so hopefully the subway treats him well. So what's a good pace going into City? Okay, well there you go, I guess it took too long there.
City, I have no idea. Because by then I'm really just thinking about subway. Like, if you made it to the city and you didn't mess it up, it's really what the subway is gonna look like anyway. I don't judge my pace yet out of City. I think most of them, if they don't mess up the city, would just keep going.
Oh, we have about a minute spread from the cave. You said you really want to leave at 39 to the castle being at worst 144, so it's like a really good castle. Because 144 apparently is like cut off where you probably just sneak under sub 2 or something like that.
See, Joe's getting second best subway, but he's kicking himself probably over the city because it wasn't he clicked on a couple of times on the city.
Yeah, so I mean, like, here
he had a chance. He had a chance, but then
now you're 3 seconds, almost 4 seconds behind. So
yeah.
So how long does the slots even take here if he enters at 158?
See, that I haven't measured either to give you the full stats here.
So it's about 10 seconds, about 9 seconds or 10 seconds. So
I could tell you this though, there's not always the easier slot for most people is when it's the woman and then Waldo. But there's situations where it's like Smug Sultan, as we like to say, or the old man, and things just get crazy. So the runners are probably expecting the easier slot, and when they don't get it, it could be you could lose a run.
So maybe that's something that you can explain too, because to me, that's not something that I completely understood from like the task aspect. Is I know changing the slot pattern, I could do it, and I changed the slot pattern in my task to get obviously a fairly optimal one, but in terms of what you want to see or like what you don't want to see on the slot patterns, like what exactly are you looking for? What exactly are you not looking for?
Yeah, you're just gonna see where Waldo is in the position in the role. Like you're probably gonna get to the slot at the same position, but the slots are varying in terms of which character Waldo follows. That's all. And just visually, it can be difficult for people. I think just the colors look all the same, except for the female character is a little different. Makes it easier.
See, like I don't know in terms of position what would be ideal either, because I know in my tasks anyway, it was actually impossible in the slot pattern to get 3-2-1. So I mean, like if you're looking at the slots or whatever, and you get there, the first slot, the second slot, the third slot from left to right is like 1, 2, 3. So it was impossible to go backwards and get 3-2-1. So I had to settle. I had to get 2 and then 3 and then 1 in my tasks, even though I wanted to do 3-2-1 right off the start. But I literally had like 2 frames that I could not connect 2-3-1. So I was like, okay, whatever. I hate the slots. So is it possible to get 2-3-1 in easy, or at that point do you need to get that old man glitch to actually get? Or sorry, I meant to say 3-2-1 in easy. Or do you need like that old man glitch to get 3-2-1 technically when it comes to like medium and hard?
Yeah, I think you would need the glitch.
You do need the glitch, okay.
And
yeah, because I could not.
I don't think you can make the cycles otherwise.
No, I was literally off by like no matter what. Like I had like absolutely frame perfect inputs. Like it was at that point no longer RTA. Like it was just like massively perfect to the frame, and it was still like 2 or 3 frames off. Like I couldn't connect it. But I remember Crack saying that it was possible, I think, to get 3-2-1 off like a certain like specific pattern, which is what I was wondering about, because I couldn't get that pattern at the time without wasting a bunch of frames. So the faster way was to get 2-3-1.
Seeing Crack with another pace, but that was not the best fairground.
Well, 114 leaving. Pattern, subway, be nice.
Nope.
Of course not. Of course not, dude.
When you see the glasses and Waldo just underneath, it's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
Of course it wouldn't be nice. But I mean, it's basically back to back. So, I mean, you probably couldn't ask for more realistically, and I mean, you can't ask for more in that case. You literally, I don't. I mean, like, what else do you do? Like, you're resetting like every 2 seconds, so basically having like a back-to-back run like that is probably as best as you can do.
Yeah, we're starting to roll into the 1 hour mark. I'm pretty sure the runners all have hope right now that
it's not quite diminished.
They're going to get it. Like they've had some attempts at getting close, so yeah, I'm sure it's fueling their anticipation here.
So at what point did you start to feel kind of like a burnout when you were running Waldo? Because to me, like when I speedrun anything else, there is a point where burning out is a thing. But it's mainly because like it's not like I'm playing and I'm speedrunning something and then I feel like that burnout is just because like resets are becoming too heavy. But this in my brain would be hard to experience unless I've actually experienced before, because yeah.
Honestly, hard mode was driving me nuts. I would get the worst subway in hard. So we have a Discord, and Tig actually mapped out like all the good hard. There's several good patterns in hard and medium that you can get that are playable. I would just consistently get the worst ones. And hard is not obviously it's not easy. And so you just get there and you're like come on, game, like work with me. Like I should have what I need. Just give me the good subway. Like I couldn't even get. There's like 3 good subways. I couldn't get one of them. So that was frustrating.
Yeah, no, hard mode is actually a lot harder. Even medium is a lot harder than easy.
That's why I feel like on easy, like if you don't get the good subway, it was only like a few, a couple minutes.
Yeah, you can definitely see, like FCJ. Sorry, took a bit of a break. Steel Thunder took a bit of a break, so I can appreciate that. The color palettes and stuff like that, are they different in medium or hard?
Yeah, well, the backdrop isn't, but you could scroll the screen, so it's not, instead of it all being on one screen, you actually have to scroll to the right. And so medium is like third more, and then hard is like double. And then yeah, Waldo changes colors.
But he doesn't do that in easy.
Blue. Yeah.
Because I always thought there was like some kind of like green color or whatever in the forest for Waldo on easy, but maybe it's just like some green imposter guy.
Oh, see, on FCJ screen, that was Waldo about to beat a child.
Yeah, he's got some very compromising positions.
Subway. Oh. I actually never even, I don't think I've ever seen a subway like that on FCJ screen.
No, I was thinking the same thing, like, in terms of the subway patterns that I'm aware of, like, that's not actually one that I'm seen before. That's just,
Great.
But it makes me wonder, because that's actually something that I should have checked in tasks a long time ago, but I didn't. Because I got really lucky, and I changed the city by like 7 frames, and then I'm getting the God Subway. But before I changed it twice, I think. And the way that the items shift, they just shift like slightly up. They shift like slightly over, so it's not complete RNG in the sense that if you, well, I mean, like you would have known that actually, obviously running Waldo yourself, but it's not complete RNG in the sense that if you get to the subway, like all 3 items are like always in a completely different spot. So there is like set patterns and stuff like that. And I really should have checked at the time when I made the task. Just seeing like how often it cycles, like what is your actual window of opportunity to get that God Subway. But I just made the task and then I called it the day. And this is on easy. Great Sir Nico. So the easy record right now, as you can see, it's 2 flat, almost sub 2, and all the runners literally have 2 something, like 2. They're really, really tight and very close to each other. So anybody could get under sub 2. Sub 2 in this game, like in this particular category, is kind of again like the pipe dream. Very elusive, very hard.
It almost feels like the entire Waldo community would just retire if the sub 2 gets hit.
Yeah.
A lot of sum of best are, I think, 157 Nick Musk.
That'd be interesting. Do you actually know their individual sums of best?
No.
I don't know if they can hear, if they have like the commentary open and they're all talking about it. But maybe, because they have their splits up anyway, if they actually want to maybe like write it in chat, it'd be interesting to see like their exact sums of best and like how much it actually compares to each other. Because I know their PVs are close, but I don't know if their sums of best are close, but...
I'll start taking a peek around and see if anybody has it on the screen.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit earlier, and I did make a task that was 157. But like I've tasked it, I haven't really run it myself, and Sin was talking about it's around 157 too. Okay. Sin was talking about like what he thought was maybe kind of like more RTA viable, and he said maybe like high 158, maybe 159 for sure, but.
So yeah, Joe's 157, Steel Thunder's 156.84.
Yeah, it's possible, Bismarck. That's where like an auto splitter would be pretty interesting, I think, for this game, but at
Did
least then it would
FCJ's
be.
stream go down? It might have. It looks like FCJ's stream went down.
Yeah, Waldo's just frozen in the air by the train.
He's getting it back up.
That's okay.
He's got the doggo cam going too. FCJ's sum of best is 155. We'll see.
You know what? Waldo just wants to take a train ride, apparently. All these other Waldos, they're like busy on the overworld running around. Okay, he's done. He's gone. I guess FCJ is back. Waldo's going back to work, I guess. Actually, I think there was something about that. What was that? I noticed that when I was tasking for like literally 1 frame. I think the overworld sprite or something on like the first frame gets like all messed up or something like that.
Yeah, if you go frame by frame, Waldo is just loads up as just numbers. I mean, he literally looks like the Matrix.
Yeah, he's horrifying. So there we go. We have like definitive proof. Like this Waldo isn't even a human. He's just some kind of like cyborg killer. Maybe he's like traveling to the train forest and like train station and forest just eliminate everybody. Like this is what this game is actually.
And that's it. And then he's like, peace out. You just send me to the moon.
Dude, Waldo is the Terminator. Literally the Terminator. Like I cannot unsee him as the Terminator now. Going from place to place. But yeah, no, like I remember noticing that where it was like literally for like 1 single frame. He was all garbled and messed up. So I don't know if that's like humanly viable to see, like if you watch where he spawns or whatever each time that they reset, but
yeah, it's quick. As soon as the map loads, there's numbers.
Yeah.
Oh, looks like Crack's like, all right, my RNG is terrible. Let me just do a whole power hard reset. There's that Bethesda Softworks.
Can you imagine if the main protagonist, if they held on to those rights in Skyrim, ended up being Waldo? How? I don't actually. That would be pretty bad. That wouldn't be amazing at all. Actually, I think. But
record low sales.
yeah. Like they make Skyrim featuring Waldo, and then they just go bankrupt forever. So
there was a new cartoon though, which actually the theme song was pretty good. I was into. It's like young Waldo. I thought it was pretty good.
Young Waldo? Why would you like? What?
I think the adventures of
Waldo's the detective now. What is going on?
It doesn't look so bad. I actually haven't watched an episode. I just saw the trailer.
I didn't even know that existed. I didn't know that.
And then apparently in Japan, Waldo was popping up, and I think it was for selling homes. It was like marketing for a real estate agency. I don't know.
Wow, that's like there's such a disconnect. Like the last thing that I would think of when I think of Waldo is real estate. So I'm glad that some marketers and stuff like that were like, yes, let's connect the dots. Hidden Folks on PC. What is that? I've never heard of that before. So, power cycling, like Crack Attack just did, is that for sure known to like change RNG values, or is that within like Waldo itself? I mean, because I know like sometimes power cycling, that's a thing.
I don't think so. I mean, typical Fantasy X, she was getting some pretty good luck with Subway, God Subway pattern, but I don't know if it had anything to do with it in the actual programming.
But she ran that on emulator, right?
No, I believe it was on a console.
Well, it makes me wonder too.
Oh no, it was on emulator. Sorry.
Yeah, because if it was on the emulator, like the RAM or whatever initializes the same way whenever you power it on. So if you're extremely consistent on an emulator, there would actually be one advantage to running this game on an emulator compared to like a real console. And that's that whole like PPU cycling stuff when it comes to NES. But you wouldn't have that issue on an emulator. Although at that point, I mean, so that, like I should maybe like just to explain that.
Crack had a good cave. 38.
No, he did. So are these all on console or is this on?
I think Joe is on emulator.
Joe's on emulator. Okay. Yeah, I mean, like I was never a big kind of like proponent of, you know, like that whole console or nothing thing. 'Cause like emulator is very viable.
Yeah, it didn't seem to matter for this game.
No, because I mean, like at that point, it's almost inhuman to expect reactions that you could like benefit just playing on an emulator.
Correct.
It's like how that PPU cycling works is basically like if you reset sometimes,
Crack
like
got
let's
second
say.
best Subway. Come on. So second best Subway is you got to go like up and down, whereas the best Subway you just go straight across and you make one slight turn up instead of going like 2 steps up.
So is that possible? 147? I think like he would have to
Yeah,
have.
see, if he had the best Subway, he would have been at like 144. Like it's like 2.5 seconds with the second best Subway that you lose.
Yeah, so this is probably going to be like a 10, or sorry, a 207 or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty close. So you really, it seems you want to enter like the slot machine part almost like at 150 or less, because it takes about 9 seconds or 8 seconds to get a good pattern there.
FCJ just stumbling around the fairground. That's it.
Base guy and Apollo. It's kind of fighting in chat. But in terms of like emulator versus console, like there'd be almost arguably no difference here because human-wise, you probably couldn't benefit. So the way that the emulator works is when you start, you'll always get the same RNG. And then there's something called PPU cycling in like a regular console, where like maybe the best way that I can explain that is in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If anybody's ever seen that speedrun, if you push start on a very specific frame, let's say like frame number 60 or something like that, in the Turtles speedrun, there's 3 different places the Technodrome can spawn. So if you push start on frame 60, and let's say it's the best location, on an emulator, if you're able to push start every single time on frame 60, you will always get that particular spawn. And then what PPU cycling does on a console is if you also push start on frame 60, you might get the best spawn, but then sometimes like the RNG gets shifted a little bit. So even if you push start and you actually push start, like it's frame perfect on frame number 60, you might not get like the best RNG. It might give you, you know, like the second best spawn or the second, whatever, the third best spawn. So like you would, in theory, if you could be absolutely inhuman with your reactions, have a slight advantage using an emulator because you would never have to worry about any kind of RNG screwing you over like that. To what extent RNG exists in Waldo, I'm not exactly sure. But I mean, like at that point, like you're basically saying like you can be accurate to a frame, which you probably cannot. Like if everybody was completely inhuman, like a cyborg, everybody would have sub 2. Like it wouldn't be so hard to chase, obviously, or get that time.
Yeah, because it's each screen, plus there's that random frame loss in the overworld.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not just as easy as being like, oh, okay, you know, use it as an emulator, 100% advantage or anything like that. Because there's still obviously like the very human reaction side of it that goes into it.
We got a little bit of sync going on between Crack and Steel.
Yeah, like actual partial race there. Look at that, like almost not even half a second behind maybe between those two. Steel Thunder.
Steel Thunder going ahead. Crack can't find Waldo.
Yeah, gonna abandon ship on that fairground.
I don't know if Steel's gonna be happy with that fairground though. It was a little off to the right. We'll see. Got the manhole Waldo.
Poetrix with the very convincing message of humanity in chat. That didn't seem robotic at all.
And no good, Subway.
No. So, if you were to run this 100 times in a row, for example, never reset, and just finish every single run, how often do you think the God Subway comes up?
3 times?
3, so it's pretty low then.
And the funny thing is, as you start getting closer to the 2 minute, it probably feels like it's even less. Like when you start off in this game, when you start getting around like 2:15, maybe 2:10, maybe it's more common, and that's deceiving for new runners.
Yeah, like I'd actually be interested in checking that out honestly as well, because like maybe. Like I don't know how that cycles, because I think from what I understood from at least testing it, it cycles in such a way that the RNG starts repeating itself. I just don't know, you know, like how many times it repeats or whatever before it gets back to like the place that it is. But if the RNG shifts, at least on easy mode, then you would have a remarkably small chance, and that's probably very accurate to what you're obviously saying yourself, with even seeing it in a run. Because like let's say if there's whatever 10 patterns and they all shift, you know, like it goes from like 5 to pattern number 4 and then 3 and then 2 and then 1 and then 10 and then 9 and then it keeps going like that. Like if the window frame was like 7 frames that I was able to change the pattern when I was tasking that, like it's going to be a very remarkably small window if the God Subway pattern is only, you know, like pattern number 5 out of 10, but that's only just assuming there's like 10 variations of the subway, which I'm sure there's a lot more.
Yeah, FCJ's second best subway there.
Yeah. So I mean, FCJ has a partial shot. Still, like that's pretty close. Like he's got to rely on RNG and get.
Yeah, no good though. That castle.
Yeah, a little bit too long. Because no matter what here, it's again going to be like maybe like a 2-8 or a 2-9 probably. Or just a reset. That damn crusading crusader.
You see, that's the slot machine where it's just like, what is even this order?
Yeah. So does that mess with your brain when you get there? Like, do you expect a certain order?
Yeah, you hope it's the Lady then Waldo combo.
It'd be interesting to see just exactly how much time gets lost in between each pattern, because that's something that I really should have tasked, but I never checked.
Yeah, I do like that we can see the timers going red, so we know when people are behind on their split. So that's helpful right now too.
Yeah. So, I mean,
it's another hour and a half
for the
to
first
go.
time, I think, well, no, I was gonna say, I think for the first time, we actually have 4 people. Okay, no, we jinxed it. Steel Thunder reset. And then, but I was gonna say, for the first time, all 4 people were actually kind of on a run, and it wasn't hindered by resets. But we've lost 3. So Crack Attack, I believe in you. You're the only one left. Everybody else kind of reset. So
that's what it takes to get sub 2 in this game. Grind, grind, grind. there might be another runner out there that just hasn't played the game yet. They might be seeing it tonight and say, you know what? I can do it. It's a very easy game to get into.
Yeah, I mean, there's at least that. Getting sub 2 is obviously a little bit of a different story, but
I got pretty excited when I think the first run I did was, something like a 240 or something, but then I got down to like a 208. I was like, wow, what a great time. And then I just realized.
So when does it start getting hard? Like, to me, like, I've only run this
203.
203, okay.
Because by then you're like, okay, I'll take the second best subway. But then after that, it's just, you can't. Oh, hey, Green Z Saber. Green Z was there, part of the Home Alone world record, simultaneous world record.
Simultaneous.
The other Bethesda game.
What happened? Like, I only saw that in passing on Twitter. Like, what even happened?
So, well, in Home Alone for NES, it's a timer that counts down from 1958. So you can't get better than that. But you have to get a setup. It's a pretty tough game, and there's a glitch where you can glitch out Marv and Harry and just wait out the 1958, the 19 minutes and 58 seconds, and then boom, tie world record.
I see. Okay, that's funny.
So yeah, at GDQ, MC Aaron organized as many runners to get a simul world record. It's got great music, much like this game.
I don't know about that. It's like super popular in Russia, though. I always thought that was kind of comical. A lot of the Russian speedrunners that I've met, they have like really fond memories of Home Alone. I don't know, like maybe it was included on like that Dendy thing or like.
Oh well, yeah, and I think that's even the Home Alone 2. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Home Alone 2.
Yeah.
That's correct, not Home Alone.
Yeah, Home Alone was just kind of a survival game. Just survive for 19 minutes and 58 seconds.
I don't think I'm even aware of that one then. Sorry, like when you were talking about Home Alone, I was thinking of literally Home Alone 2. I'll have to look that up later. I don't think I've ever even seen the first one, at least on the NES rather.
Yeah, the original Home Alone, it's a fun one. Trapped inside the house. Or set up traps inside the house.
It's Genome setting on the fairground there. And FCJ and Crack Attack, like they all kind of wound up at the same spot here. So Genome deciding to reset.
Ooh, FCJ with a very nice fairground.
It looks like Crack Attack is he's gonna keep it. Okay.
Yeah, that was a weird one. Lower left. Come on, City for FCJ. Ooh, the Waldo lurk. I don't know. See what subway FCJ gets.
Yeah, Crack Attack opting to reset there as well.
And done. Dang. Oh, FCJ really feels bad about that one. He had a good pace.
So, can you tell pace-wise, like, what that was? Because he left, I think.
He was all green. And that fairground was good. So I'm pretty sure he was hoping for that good subway.
Yeah, no, because at that point, like
Ooh,
he left
Steel
it.
Thunder with a left forest. Left side forest. Oh. Every time you get a good forest, the cave just comes and screws you over. I don't know why. Like, when it's something about getting a good forest.
I don't know.
Because cave should be free. Like, you should just be able to hit down an A and get Waldo. But when you get that good forest, nope. Impossible cave.
There should be, but I mean, like at that point, you're also being inhuman about it. But there should be a possibility where if you're super fast within, like less than like a 10 frame window or whatever, that you could get like fixed patterns on every single stage.
Crack got a good fairground.
So FCJ was really ahead then, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think he left the city when I was looking at the timer at 1:14.
Yeah, FCJ's getting close. Crack's still just lost it in that city. Crack had a chance too.
Well, so I mean, Steel Thunder entering here too. The one, yeah, you can tell she's a little bit behind there. I was gonna say because like she's just entering when people were leaving, but at that point, like I don't know how much RNG makes a difference in terms of figuring out like a really good pattern and getting a really good pattern. Like, can you be this late into the run, like right before the subway, and then still like somehow come back from like 2 or 3 seconds of like waiting around and a bad split? Because like, sorry, maybe a better, easier question would be like, what point is it just dead? Like, at what point have you lost too much time at like any split? You should just reset.
Until you see Subway, you'll probably still even be like up to 2 seconds behind and still think there's hope. So
there's a little bit of variance then.
Yeah.
Hard mode expands the map. It also reduces the timer on the top of the screen. Like if you see anybody when they enter the screen, there's like a set timer. It also makes the cursor smaller, so it's harder to find Waldo. And there's some different slot patterns. There must be, because the old man glitch maybe doesn't work, or I'm not sure if there's different slot patterns in medium or hard, but
yeah, Waldo's color changes too.
Yeah, there's also palette differences as well.
But the cursor being small is probably the most annoying part, because if you're like right next to Waldo, it's very hard to just like tap to get over to him, and every time you misclick, you lose like a tremendous amount of time that you just don't have to spare.
Yeah, the timer's actually somewhat tight on hard mode.
But in easy, like, you're not going to get a great time, but you can literally just spam A on like every corner of the screen and probably get through the game and still win. Like you. Oh, well, Joe's showing it off right now.
Yeah, there you go. So it actually extends quite far.
Yeah. So Joe's showing a little hard mode right now. We got a pink Waldo in the train station.
So like even seeing like the map move over slightly, like there's no continuation on easy mode. Like that just gets cut off there. Like you can't scroll right and then scroll the screen at all on easy mode. So hard extends.
Cave is basically unchanged. Nice and reliable in every mode.
And Subway is different for sure on medium and hard, right?
Oh yeah.
Like there's way more complex.
It's fun when you're watching somebody stream playing hard though, because you can like spot Waldo almost immediately and you can help them in chat. I didn't know where he was in that one though. But you have a chance to look. Like as the player, sometimes you're just right on top of Waldo and you don't even realize.
Steel Thunder maybe finishing this one. Castle kind of giving her an issue there, but
yeah, that was a weird castle because it was like just off right. I didn't even see him. I want to get back to the moon because there's a cute little face on top of the rocket ship that became an emote.
Oh really? I've never seen that before.
Yeah, take a look at the top of the rocket. It's got like a little. Oh, where is it? There we go. Like 2 eyes and a little mouth.
Can't unsee. It's cursed forever now.
Yeah.
So not only is Waldo a rocket guy, he's a happy rocket person. So T19.
Who needs a spacesuit? Just put a bowl over here.
Honestly, that's probably why the Earth is also the same red color. I never even thought about that either. Oh, TG Steel Thunder. She survived.
I hear the Rocket X program is going to be switching to Waldo's slot machine for its launches.
Yeah. NASA will incorporate That's how every rocket will take off now. Triple Waldos, or it won't launch.
That's it.
And then if you get an old man, you just run out of the room.
You've doomed that launch. That's
Yeah.
it.
Cursed forever. Well, I mean, there's been a couple from FCJ that run pretty good runs, and a couple from Crack Attack so far. And Steel Thunder's had some equally adequate paces in Genome.
Yeah,
It
I'd
really-
say this is average attempts right now.
Yeah, it really just shows you, like, it literally comes down to that freaking subway. Apollo with the tough questions there. You can answer that one and explain exactly why you've come to that logical conclusion, Sin.
That was Nick B that mentioned it. And Apollo should know more about the moon than I do, just by the name. Or space related things.
Yeah, I mean, he's named after freaking Apollo. Oh, I guess that could have been a Greek god opposed to, like, the spaceship or whatever, right?
I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna have to check my Greek god mythology here.
Alright, so FCJ, what's gonna happen in the fairground with you, good dude?
Greek and Roman god of sunlight, prophecy, music, and poetry.
Yeah, Apollo Creed could be.
Or any class of asteroids. Bottom line, should know more about rockets.
Yeah. Figure it out yourself, Apollo. Alright, so City entering at 1... So he's barely in the red here, I think.
SCJ is just like, come on, Subway.
No.
Ugh. I scoff at that Subway.
So you really weren't kidding, like the amount of times that you see like the God Subway really are low.
Have we even seen it? I don't think so.
I don't think so yet. 20 more attempts to 60k. Who's the Greek goddess of peace? I'm familiar, I'm not sure.
I'm not going to search it. Because if I don't know it, I don't know it. I can't cheat. I don't know it.
Didn't it start with like P or something? I don't think.
Start with P?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, Waldo is the Greek goddess or god of chaos, so...
Alright, well, give me like 10 seconds and I'll be right back.
Yep. You know what? I thought a lot of people were going to warm up, and I almost had a feeling that people would practice and then just get sub 2 not during the events. Like you said, like get that God Subway right before. But I don't think anybody warmed up. Oh, Crack with another low fair. Crack's getting a lot of Waldos on the bottom left. FCJ's a little late coming out of cave, just by a second. Ooh, Crack with a good city though. See how the subway goes. Second best subway. Not even gonna entertain that subway. FCJ also with a lower left fairground. This is interesting because I don't think I've ever watched 4 streams at once, and you can almost start seeing repetition side by side in attempts, which is really interesting. Yeah, it really is. I don't think you can count on a sub 2 at all with second best subway. You'd have to be spot on everything else.
Alright, sorry about that. Let's go get a couple of crackers.
Crackers?
Yeah, I should have eaten before.
I got Teddy Grahams.
I actually had graham crackers.
Yeah, well.
I mean, they're not Teddy Grahams in the teddy bear form, but I mean, basically the same thing.
We don't know if they're actually cookies or crackers. They're called graham snacks, but it's a big debate.
Subway says no to Steel Thunder again.
Yeah, Crack even had a pretty decent run with his second best Subway, and he was like, nope.
Not taking it. Yes. I mean, like, you could answer both, right? Maybe graham crackers are what they are before they get refined into Teddy Grahams, so... So the Subway... really not being nice. Yeah, there is a train station in the Subway. Crackies might be the most horribly named thing ever. Like, maybe it could go under, like, a better naming thing, but... Yeah, Crackies is pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie. I would actually feel embarrassed, I think, in a grocery store buying Crackies. So.
Once you start eating them, you know?
Yeah, I just literally can't stop, literally. Cookers? Sure. I mean, that's slightly less embarrassing. I'm okay with that one. I would buy Cookers. So, they pretty much get sub 2, or at this point, like, I don't know, even if it's feasible for them to get a PB without getting sub 2. Like, they're all pretty close. Do you think that could happen? Do you think they could still set a PB, but somehow not get sub 2, or are they just too close at this point?
I think so. I think FCJ, Steel Thunder definitely have been on pace to get a PB. So I think it's definitely possible. Joe's time is really, really tight.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope.
Like you said, if he gets a PB, it's sub 2 probably. But
I would hope. Like, it would suck if it was like a 2.00 or whatever, like 108 or whatever it was. Or
you know, I don't know the history of Chase the Records. I mean, I've watched several, but I don't remember. Like, obviously the more recent one was the Batman. I think the Mario SMB one was done as well. But I don't remember if anybody actually did get a PB during one of the events.
There was one. Sinister told me a long time ago. Maybe Fiesel can tell me. I think it was like Mega Man 2 or Mega Man... Yeah, it might have been Mega Man 2. It might have been Cypher. I think you're actually right, Apollo.
I mean, it would be exciting if...
Yeah. And at like NB at the time when we set up the Batman one, like, he should have got it. I remember he had like a 952 that he missed the glitch, and then it ended up being a 957. But he was like literally a frame off from doing it as well.
And that's the thing, like, you might, after this event, you might forget about Waldo, maybe not. You might start running the game, but like I know eventually, like, Stans went on for the Batman and got an improvement to the record too. So it could happen. Like, it might not happen tonight, but it could happen a couple weeks from now. Somebody still wants to push this sub 2 for sub 2.
No, they're just going for the record tidbit. Crack asked chat if anybody wanted to put a $100,000 bounty. Today would be the day. If anybody wants to just kind of like open their wallet and chip in 100,000, sure. Make Crack Attack a happy dude. What's up, Alex? Easiest bet. Yeah, so I mean, like, as we've seen, it definitely comes all down to thank you, speeding guy outside. It all comes down to the subway.
But it doesn't even end at the subway. You still have the castle and the slot machine after. So even if you get the best subway, you have to perform in the castle and the slot machine. That's what's even. It gets you. It gets in your head at that point. I hope everybody that gets the good subway on pace.
Yeah, like it just like that's the thing. Like hopefully it just needs to happen like one time, right? It needs to happen.
I'll sit here and retime it. I am a mod for the game. We'll take it offline. Okay. Oh, see there, Crack's got the good subway. There it is.
Yeah. Okay. So
that's what it looks like.
So what's gonna happen, Crack? So we were saying at worst, I think 144 entering the castle. I mean, that's going to be pretty close depending on RNG. Might have taken a little bit too long.
You basically spelled a W there on the castle.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah, this is going to be just a little bit over. Probably again, I'm thinking like a 205 or.
That's heartbreak right there. It had the chance. Yeah, this is 203, 204.
Yeah, that was really close.
The other thing is most of the players are starting their timer on mashing start, and timing actually begins when Waldo loads out of the numbers. So you got to figure there's a few, maybe 0.2 seconds of time loss based on the timer.
So you must like manually retime every single Waldo run.
Yeah, and yeah, not that long. But that was a really good attempt by Crack, and that shows you the power of the best subway.
Yeah, because you were saying like even the second best pattern you lose like 2 seconds or something, right? So
yeah, but the castle had to perform in the castle. Nobody ever sees the castle.
Well, good job, Crack. I mean, for the most part, like I guess that's the other thing too is like everybody's leaving the cave, at least, you know, pretty quickly. Like you're seeing a lot of like those sub 40 times that you were talking about.
Yeah, if you want to warm up, there is the practice mode, which just ends at cave, and it's basically all the same. And then you can just see if you can get like sub 30. If you're getting sub 39 cave, you're ready to roll.
So what's the lowest cave split that you've seen, or you've had, or both actually?
I'm probably at a 38 or 37.
So there's still time to save even before the cave then.
Yeah.
Because it's like almost consistent, like it's almost consistently clockwork, where every single person that's leaving the cave is like 39.
Yeah, because you got to look around in the forest. The forest is tough.
Well, say Genome's on a good thing. Oh.
Yeah, but you see that? It looks like it would have been the right subway.
Yeah, I see that.
But look at that path. And that to me is almost like a third best subway, because he could have went up and then continued straight.
No, I saw that right at the second. I thought that was actually because the end part was the right part, but the first part was all jank. I actually didn't know that pattern existed.
I think we've seen it twice tonight. That's about it. That's what I was saying before. I think you had stepped away. Like, it's interesting seeing all four going at the same time. You start to see the repeats.
Yeah, because as I said, like at least I'm understanding from tasking it, like you're repeating, like the things aren't random. Like they're not just like random each time. They get shifted, and I should actually like kind of post how they get shifted. But I think it changes nothing because it wouldn't change anything. Like there's no possible way that you can get a pattern that I think faster than the God sub where you just mash A. Like even if it's shifted.
Joe and Crack.
Yeah, literally like.
Let's see if anybody loses extra time on the.
Very little, like probably not even a half
second. Crack with the good fairground though. Just had to tap down a little bit.
See, but that's where I did that in my tasks. So I'm curious if you take this frame literally, and you see where he wound up. I'm very curious if that's where it would have been in my tasks.
It's the squatting Waldo there, half mid squat. Speed gaming raid, speed gaming 3. Joining in on the Waldo action.
Yeah, Waldo. I'm legitimately curious because he had a really good pace there, and I'm actually curious in my task, like how often if you get that pace in fairgrounds, if Waldo will be in where he usually is in the city. That's something I should probably check, but that would be interesting to see because like maybe there is a correlation there, or partially a correlation.
See, that was a 38 for Crack in the cave.
Yeah, that's really fast. He's probably had some of the faster paces that I've seen so far.
He's got that experience. He's becoming one with Waldo.
He is Waldo at this point, I think.
But he's gotten the lower left Waldo a lot. He should probably be peaking top left and lower left at this point. That's where he's hitting.
Definitely
FCJ with a weird delay in the cave there. Like, it's almost as if the input got stuck and you couldn't walk left right away.
Well,
That's the other thing, yeah.
Yeah, like there is like weird hitboxes or something around the cave rocks and stuff like that. Where I didn't quite see whatever happened with FCJ because I was watching Genome and Crack Attack on the other side. But I know like you can walk sometimes and get like stuck on some of those rocks and.
Yeah, Crack just got like the right box spawn. That's also another rare one.
60,000. The Crack Attack needs to finish this run. Yo, what's up, Sandy Rabbit? This is on easy. So the pipe dream would be sub 2. It's basically running it to TAS at this point to get under sub 2. Like they basically need to run it absolutely perfectly, so. But welcome to you and Speed Gaming 3. All the raiders that just hopped in.
You know, at first I thought 3 hours of this was going to be too long, but now I'm like, it's not going to be enough. We're gonna need about 10 more hours.
Jack it up, another like 22 hours.
Make another sandwich, get some more crackers or crackies or cookers, and let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, literally at that point. See, what a great question. Where's Waldo? But nobody asks how is Waldo. Everybody's just so... They want to find him, dude. What happens if he doesn't want to be found? Like, what are we doing? We're all monsters right now.
Monsters would be turning this into like Duck Hunt game where you use your zapper to find Waldo.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it could be worse. That's why see Jimmy with the hot lore there. This is exactly why. He's running away from all of us to escape on the moon. Suddenly this game makes sense, man.
But
we're
Jimmy,
all terrible people.
There's no lawns on the moon. Like, what good is being on that moon when you can't mow a lawn?
I don't know. As long as he escapes humanity. Why is Waldo? Can you answer that question, Sin? Why is Waldo?
Crack's been asking it a lot. I think it's a very valid question at this point. I mean, look what we have going on here tonight. And this is probably one of the more hype games I've actually got to experience. So,
you know, on a small programming note, there is a lot of fonts in this. Like, I don't know of another NES game that has multiple font support. But at the same time, like, I wonder if you were to look into like the ASM or like the coding of the game, if they had like A to Z for like every single font kind of like coded, or if it's just okay, these are graphics, but they obviously just put them in like kind of like a picture form there.
Yeah, it might be the pixel art, but it is nice fonts.
Yeah, no, I'm assuming it's just like actual compressed graphics or whatever in that case. But
I mean, the train's about to mow down the forest. I mean, you can look.
Yeah, they could have. Why would you not put the train station beside the subway? Like,
the details here start coming out as you watch the game. Yeah. 60,000 attempts.
How long have you run it, Crack? Like, entire time? Because I don't even know how to like play 60,000 attempts in anything. But I mean, at the same time, like, your attempt counter would be horribly inflated here too, right? Because the amount of time that you would reset in a normal run that's like 2 minutes long and it doesn't go your way or something, you're probably resetting here like 10 times at least, or more.
I think it was Bad Breaks that was saying 30,000 attempts is when you can start considering a run to be, really, really grinded out. 30,000. Here we are, double that. Waldo takes its toll.
4+ years probably on and off. Yeah. Yeah, that just shows again like how insane sub 2 would probably be, just even in a theoretical way. But like that's the crazy part too, is like it's super really close.
And on easy, I don't think we've really added any new tech. I mean, medium and hard, we have new tech, and we were able to bring those times down. With easy, it's just been a crunch.
Yeah, because I think the only thing, and even then, like it's, I would say, optional, because Crack has put up very, very competitive paces. But he's not doing FCJ's manipulation, and like the only thing that I was aware of that came in kind of easy was FCJ's manipulation. So it's actually, like,
FCJ's
I don't know.
FCJ's manip doesn't save time, but it makes it very
consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that was gonna be my next question, was like, if you do his manipulation and then you leave the train station perfectly, and you take the RNG like Crack Attack is doing, like, what's the time difference? Because I've seen Crack Attack get a 38 cave, but everybody else is like 39 or 40.
Yep. Crack should be getting better times. He's less cursor movement to hit Waldo at the top of the train station. That's why.
Yeah, okay. So that's where it probably comes from, because he's not having to like scroll down far or right or whatever.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's not it's not easy to hit the bottom right perfectly. It's not like you could just hold an angle. You have to kind of like adjust a little bit. So
yeah, it's not
lose a little bit of time.
Yeah, that's actually 100% true. Because if you just hold down and right, you will actually miss Waldo.
So I think Crack's literally just train station opens up and he just kind of like moves right to that spot and hope Waldo's there. And that's it. Like, not even like see if Waldo's there before he clicks.
Well, Genome entering the city. Looks like Crack Attack.
Yeah, Joe didn't like that city.
No.
That far right Waldo is not any. Waldo, you usually look in the city. You usually look on the road. He's usually in a car or a manhole.
Yeah,
you have to look at the top or the bottom. It's too late.
Literally, he's driving. Yeah, like literally driving in a car sometimes in the city, like right in the middle. And yeah, like that's really real, Rowdy. Like I was saying that earlier, where I did a task, and the task ended up being 157, but the amount of like the amount of frames, I think it was like over 10,000 frames or something, was like the total task. The amount of like actual frames that Waldo was like moving, or like the cursor was moving in like the actual stages, was like probably 300. There's like 9,700 frames of like overworld walking, so it's even probably more optimized than you think, because there's a lot of Waldo in his
FCJ's
walking.
got something. He's got 113 out of city. He hasn't seen a good subway, I feel like, the whole night.
No.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, FCJ is just not a lucky guy when it comes to subway. Yeah, I think it's also worth noting. Actually, you know what? I'll check my task time so I can stop giving a fake answer there. Because Tigdwan did beat my other task time. But the task that I made, I think it was maybe 158, and maybe Tigdwan did like 157 or something. But either or, I think there's a task for sure that's 157.
Wow. Joe, Steel, and Crack all getting that 38 cave. That tells me they're warmed up.
Steel Thunder with the city.
He was top left in the city. Like, I can't believe it. Yeah, Waldo October. Conveniently named. We had a lot of new runners to the game. And I think there's been an exchange of world record since then, so definitely. Question is sub 2. Tracy, you mean tonight? This started about 2 hours ago. Got another hour to go.
Okay, so sorry to check that. My task is 158, and Tigduan probably definitely beat that with a 157. So,
Oh, okay.
I know for sure he went under it, but I don't actually know like the exact frame count that I did. I just, because at the time when FCJ figured out his manipulation, so I guess for anybody that's like super brand new and just been watching in like the last 10 minutes or something like that, there's a manipulation where if you watch, for example, Genome's screen, it counts down, and then after it gets to 9:55, it kicks you out of that screen, and in the train station, if you hold down and right, Waldo almost will always appear kind of like in the down right section, so you can start off the run very consistently. And at the time, it wasn't necessarily like tasking to figure out if it was possible for like sub 2 to be a reality, because I think there's already a task that sub 2 is there. It was more so a task to figure out if you're using FCJ's manipulation, can you get sub 2 based on that manipulation? So that's why I made that task. And that one ended up being a 158. But Tigduan, I don't know if he used FCJ's manipulation, but I'm pretty sure like his task is like 157, so.
I'm watching cracks right now. Oh, the fairground.
Sold your soul for the subway. Probably a good idea, honestly. I think that something like that is required. Some kind of like shady netherworld negotiation to get a good subway pattern.
We've seen it once tonight. That's ridiculous.
Pretty. And crack attack also. It amazes me, like some of the sprites, like the fairground actually looks like the fairground. And I remember I posted something on Twitter a long time ago, but in the train station specifically, it looks like there's like an old woman or someone like lying on the ground bleeding, which I mean is a real possibility maybe in like some kind of train station. But the mysterious sprite work of that is not in Fairground and other places. Like Fairground actually looks like a happy place, whereas other places I'd be a little bit scared of.
Yeah, the forest. I don't know what's going on in the forest.
I know, like every
Hulk.
sprite there is so jank. Like
There's some shady stuff happening in the forest.
Yeah, literally. All right, so Steel Thunder probably just without a reach again. And probably about 210 pace or something like that.
Yeah.
She was in the finish though.
That's a, and that's a decent time. A sub 210 time. Nice.
Steel riding steel. So can we?
Tough as steel.
Well, I mean, that's probably a better thing than I was gonna say. So sure, if you want to do that. I was going to say that if somebody gets sub 2, can we bridge the previous hypothesis that it would have involved some kind of netherworld contract signing, and say if somebody gets sub 2 live, that they are affiliated with Satan? Like, can we put those two things together?
Wow.
So why don't we talk about Steel Thunder possibly being involved with Satan? But even like, because Waldo is kind of a weird game. For anybody that's coming in, like legit, there's a lot of people that run this, but at the same time, like they're actually really good runners. Like FCJ, for example, has the record in Contra 3, and he's got a sub 10 time in Contra. He also has learned Castlevania, and he told me that he was going to learn Chippendale for the NES. But Steel Thunder also knows Chippendale. She knows Tom and Jerry, and she runs some other kind of like games where it's like Wheel of Fortune. But maybe you can take Crack Attack and Genome probably a little bit more. So I know
Genome's doing Castlevania as well. Like he's taught me a bunch of things about Castlevania. He's all in on different. I feel like a lot of people just use this game to kind of chill with after like grinding other games too.
Yeah, it's accessible in that way for sure. And I agree, like all of these people are actually very strong runners in like different games, including obviously Waldo, but it's not like it's like only Waldo and then nothing else. Although if you visit FCJ's stream, that might be the case sometimes. He was pretty hardcore into Waldo for a little bit, but I mean like actually watching FCJ play like Contra 3 is crazy. Like he's insanely good. But Genome as well does like Castlevania, and he also learned Chippendale. There's a really big Chippendale thing there. But yeah, no, they're definitely very, very.
You know what it is? A lot of people cross paths during Walled October, which I think is the great thing about speedrunning is a bunch of people just start running a game, and then before you know it, like the community just starts picking up this game and sharing it and saying, you know, I'm enjoying this, you can enjoy it too, and everybody's collaborating, and then you see, oh, like FCJ's running Contra, and like then more people are getting into Contra, and people are running Castlevania, and they dabble here, and then it just becomes like a nice mix, and the crossroads merged because of Waldo. Like it's interesting. I liked it. I like that this past October that happened. Yeah, it's more fun grinding this game with others. Let's put it that way.
I can imagine that for sure. It definitely helps that there's like an actual community whenever there's a game or an interest in a speedrun. Apollo made me play this. That's a good question. Where will there be a randomizer for Where's Waldo? Can you imagine the horrors that would be?
I think somebody brought it up too. It's not like Barney's Hide and Seek. We're not at that level of meme with this game, because here it does take some effort. I'm not going to discredit anybody's effort in this game at all because of how difficult it is. Like Waldo is not easy to find quickly in this game.
Well, I think even casually, like if you were to just blindly play it, like literally put a timer, probably it'd be like 3 or 4 minutes. So to optimize it like super low beyond that it's actually hard. Like even if you start to try to find like the human aspect of like trying to do this as fast as possible, it's probably a lot harder than people think. So
yep,
it's a very valid statement for sure. And yeah, I agree with that completely as well. Like everything that is Waldo doesn't look like Waldo at all for the most part. Like all of the Waldo artwork went into his overworld sprite. But I mean, it was a pretty cool concept for a game, even back then, to have like a video game version of Waldo, even if the sprite work was kind of shoddy at best. But
yeah, I mean, at least in the easy mode, you kind of have a chance to like wing it. In the other ones, you definitely have to keep an eye out for Waldo, and it could be very hard to see, especially quickly. Like it's just not sometimes it's just terrible where the position of Waldo, the color. I've had times where I'm just like the cursor's like right on top of them, and I can't see it.
Yeah, I've seen that a couple of times. Like when people are streaming it, like it's literally right on top, and you're like, dude, it's like right there, but you have like that partial blindness when you're running it.
It's like, come on! It's like yelling at people playing Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune. It's like, come on!
Yeah. Oh, FCJ. I will always remember him as the United States of Chicago. That's so good. He was running Jeopardy, and he wrote something like what country it's like in 1960 or so it's like 1644 or something like that, so like predated America, and he put in the answer without reading Chicago, so it was like, yes, the good old United States of Chicago that predates the United States of America by like 200 years. That will like forever make me laugh.
There's no time to think, it's just speed. I feel like FCJ is getting a little too quick with his input in the cave, because he's getting stuck a little bit. He's losing a couple, maybe a quarter of a second each time in that cave with his press.
Hopefully the city treats him well. And I believe the original question had something to do...
Oh, a great fire before it was...
Yeah.
Before, like, Chicago even existed.
Yeah, or something.
But there was a great fire of Chicago.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that whatever answer, like, predated America by a lot. 300 years or something. I can't quite remember the question, but, like, something... like in 1644 or something happened like that. But, yes. So Crack Attack really, like, I really want him to get the God Subway, just in particular. Like, some of the paces he's getting on, he's very fast. Like, well, I mean, I guess he's written in the chat now twice now. He's like -1 ahead.
I know. He's there. He just needs that setup.
Yeah. So it's interesting that he's gotten that particular subway pattern like 2 or 3 times now. So I wonder if that's more of a random fluke, or like he's running it that consistently within a specific time frame that he's getting that particular pattern.
Yeah, I think he's been pretty consistent. You can see with his start on train station, that mash start, and he's getting that consistent position for Waldo.
No, he definitely has probably one of the more consistent like early parts of this for sure. Because like even now again he's left.
Look at that cave. Yeah, that was 38 seconds, easy.
Yeah. Hey Andy, welcome Andy. And yeah, this is Chase for the record. So basically, sub 2 in this game is hard. Like it's actually hard. But all the runners have basically about a 2 flat time, and the record, as you can see, is very, very close to sub 2. So it really comes down, like, I guess there's obviously stuff that happens after, but the subway in particular is a jerk. It's very much a jerk. So based on the best subway pattern, it's possible that you could get sub 2 in this game. I did an old task that has a 158, and somebody else had a 157, TIG 1, or maybe a 156. So Crack Attack opting to probably go here.
Yeah, Selfless Oddlaw was the Waldo spelled backwards, black and yellow. In fact, one of the runners, JRM, did a cosplay during the runs of this game. So if you look at JRM's PB's videos, he's dressed up as Oddlaw. And there's, I think, a few PB videos out there where the people are dressed up as Waldo, like I think Joe Gnomes. Maybe not his recent one, but previous ones. Old School McFly, FCJ.
Yeah, the event is about an hour left, I think. But yeah, luckily they haven't been playing Waldo for like 9 hours, or 5.5.
Well, before you know it, like 5 hours goes by pretty quickly.
Yeah. So it's not completely. I guess like to some extent, like it's still very execution based because you can't take longer than like fractions of a second on each stage. So there's basically like no stage that you can be in or play and take like 2 or 3 seconds or whatever. So there is an element of execution there, but the big one for sure is RNG when it comes to the subway pattern. And they're setting because like they probably don't have even enough time that they could lose like 2 or 3 seconds on one stage and then still get the record. There's just not enough time to save at this point. Like that's completely optimized, almost like I wouldn't say down to the frame, but arguably almost down to the frame. So it's very, very, very hard to beat the current record by Genome. So you can see for the most part there is a manipulation for anybody that is kind of like joining. So whenever anybody resets again, like the one time that you want to try to explain the manipulation, like everybody's got a run going. Okay, so if you watch FCJ, FCJ currently has, he actually thought of the manipulation, and he figured it out. So if you let off a reset, that timer go down to 9:55, if you do the manipulation properly, Waldo will be in like the bottom right corner. So he'll just put the cursor all the way down to kind of like the bottom right, he'll find it. From there, nothing. Execution is from this point onwards, like basically mandatory. So at this point, it's basically more reaction than it is anything like that because they're looking around, they're trying to find him. So if they take too long, that's why you're gonna see a reset. And just to answer that one other question, I made the task, one task anyway, and it was 158. But Tigduan, I believe, made a different task that was 157 or like 156. I think it was 157. But the way that I did my task was based off FCJ's manipulation, just to make sure that you could start a run using his manipulation and then finish it with a sub 2 time. There is a correlation there. Good forest, bad cave.
I know, it's ridiculous. I think Joe's pretty gonna be happy with that city. Let's see what Subway.
I love the combination there. I had this game as a kid. What the heck is this game? Like back to back. This is Waldo for the NES. It's a video game version of the book, I guess. Way back when.
In my opinion, the best Waldo game. There was the Great Waldo Search, but you have to find like a scroll. Like it just wasn't the same feel.
Yeah, they had like oversized sprites though, or no, was that the Super Nintendo one?
No, same.
They had a different, like, sorry, not a different, but they had like a secondary game on NES, or was that Super Nintendo?
Yeah, same. Yeah, similar to the one
okay.
for SNES. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I couldn't remember. Like one of them is like legitimately rough. I don't know if I've seen the NES one, but I'm pretty sure there's like one on Super Nintendo as well.
Yep.
We've seen the good Subway once or twice now. Just once, I think, right?
Yep. Just I think Crack's the only one that got the good Subway.
Yeah. So it's pretty rare. There's technically, maybe you could answer that better because you'll obviously run it. But even if you don't get the best subway pattern, but you get the second best subway pattern, is it still possible to get sub 2 then?
I mean, I think it'd have to be perfect play, because you lose about 2.5 seconds. So I highly doubt it, and I don't think anybody would have played perfect up until that point.
Yeah. Final stage in the castle. But he did get the good subway pattern.
it looks like we're not buffering now.
Yeah, it looks like there's a little bit of buffering on this side too.
I think we're good though.
Like that would be kind of ironic where if it buffered during a sub 2 run, like maybe could happen, like it's so quick.
Yeah, slot machines are actually fixed. But the order of what character Waldo appears after is random. Yeah, Waldo's position is random though.
Yeah, like basically, we'll see. Like I mean, that's something that I should again really check because I've said that twice now. Because it's possible, but even if it's not random in theory, like it would be humanly almost impossible to make it RTA to the sense that you could manipulate like a single pattern every single time or something like that. But I mean, like you can literally see Crack Attack if he's really really fast. Like he's actually fast. He consistently leaves the cave at like 38, but I believe at that point, like he's actually, it's execution.
Crack's got a good sense of humor, but at the same time, it's not a joke. Like there is high level of skill.
Ironically, like there really is. Like in terms of getting like a sub 2 time, or even anywhere near just 2 flat.
Yeah,
that's
like
the thing.
You might not, whether it's 99% or 80%. It's still up there because your guesswork and your instinct has to really be spot on. Like the strategies in the Discord literally show where to look and why. You know, mapping out where to glance, because otherwise you're just wasting your time.
Peripheral vision required only for NES Waldo.
Yeah. Yep, on the screen.
Yeah, it really is like a weird combination. But I was saying like at some point I'm very curious because it's already been optimized like hell and back, but I'm very curious if there's going to be a point where like somebody could actually manipulate that. Because when I was doing the task myself, the patterns weren't completely random. So like if I changed it on one frame, for example, and I checked going into the next like city or whatever station or whatever it would be, you would get like the same pattern. So it's frame based, which means that if someone could run it to a specific frame, like you would be able to get to the same pattern, the same everything every single time. But there's such a variation at this point where, I mean, like you probably couldn't do that. Because like every single point, like even if you lose a few frames, like you're gonna have a completely different pattern. But some of their splits, like if you ever actually watch them on their channels and stuff like that, like sometimes it's like 0.0, it's like 0.0, and they're actually running to like that level of tightness.
Oh, Crack with that terrible cave though. What, like with the game just ugh. It's all the way on the far left. The exit. And you know what? He had a pretty decent fairground there though too. Like he's gonna play it.
Yeah, probably RTA. For sure 159 something. You think a high 9, 158 would be possible, or?
Yeah.
It's still possible.
But
so at what point then does it like taper off? Like still like mid 158, like low 158, still possible, or at what point do you think it's like, nah, that's getting kind of too close to the task?
Yeah, I would say even mid 158 is kind of crazy. I mean, I've never seen anybody just guess perfectly every like 6 areas. Like that's just it's a lot to ask for.
we were thinking Waldo was the Terminator earlier. There's a lot of lore that goes into this one. So, I mean, maybe he's not even the Terminator. Maybe he's just got like ill-fitting pants. Like that could be very viable. Actually, that's a really good question. And
yeah, I don't think anybody's done an overlay of all the Waldo positions. Like took screenshots and then just merged them together to get a heat map. They did it for the books, but I don't think there's one for the game.
Yeah, RNG might play a factor, I mean, to some extent, but...
I thought Still Thunder might just switch to, like, Wheel of Fortune for a second. She's got the world record in, like, win, lose, or draw. Wheel of Fortune, you figure, you know, another Waldo, another W. Perfect. But,
yeah, no, the best subway pattern is kind of, like, visually easy to see. Because you just basically push A. You don't have to do anything except push A. And then I think there's like the one input or whatever to exit, right? You just up. Like you push A twice, up, and then A again or something.
Yep.
So it's pretty straightforward. Like you just go straight in a line. So Crack had it earlier. Everybody else for the most part has gotten like second subway pattern that they've continued to run. Where, as Sin was saying, you lose about like 1 or 2 seconds or something like that. But 205 is again like 5 seconds away from the record in this game. Is still extremely good run. You would probably struggle to get like a 205 if you just ran it. So it's pretty strong for what it is there. So in terms of like paces, once they leave the castle, really want to see like what would be a good time there. Maybe like, is it possible to enter the slots before 150? I guess maybe about there. Yeah, that's very true with the palette. In hard mode it can change, and hard mode's a lot harder. So that is very true and valid. It actually does, Andy. Again, Sin, I don't know if you can explain that better. Like, what do we know why that causes that, or?
Yeah, you know, I equate it to like Toe Jam and Earl when you're like in the, and maybe it's just like load, because each map is random. Maybe it takes a little longer to generate that map, so that's where it's losing the time. That's my only theory.
Yeah, like I'm aware that overworld RNG exists in the sense that like you lose frames on the overworld. You can't lose frames everywhere else. You lose frames everywhere in this, apparently. But I wasn't sure why. Like, I don't understand why that happens, or like how it could happen.
Yeah, if it's doing a calculation for, you know, NPC, like the layouts.
You know, that's maybe a really good idea. Like, no, it wasn't a joke. Like, it's an actual thing. But maybe that's actually a good thing. Like a good guess. Because there's a game, I don't know if people are aware of it. Let's actually see what Steel Thunder does here. Because she has the potential for a decent subway. No, of course not. But on the NES, there was a prototype, and everybody probably is aware, for the most part, on Super Nintendo, SimCity. It exists. That was the official, obviously, released game by Nintendo, and they actually, at the same time that they were developing the Super Nintendo version, were developing the NES version. But they quickly realized that the actual math, like the computing that went into generating numbers and like population and stuff like that, was super easy on the Super Nintendo. Like it was basically, you can actually see it when you load the game. If you've ever played the game, like when you load a save file, it kind of like generates the power. It shows like everything doesn't have power for a couple of seconds, and then everything just starts working again. But that was kind of like the background of that game or whatever, thinking of what to do in terms of all the math. But when it came time to doing it on the NES, like the NES actually really struggled with doing like mathematical based things when it was like actually going back and forth and solving a bunch of stuff. So maybe that's a legitimate theory as to why. Like maybe it's trying to load based on the previous pattern, whatever that you got, what the new pattern will be in like the next stage or something like that. And it just like hangs on the overworld for a few frames, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's actually possible. Like that could be a thing.
What did they call that? Articulating splines or something? When it's like generating in The Sims.
Probably. Yeah, that sounds so horrible. Articulating spines, like. Like, there's gotta be a better combination of words from the programming aspect to describe that.
Oh, reticulating. There you go. Bubblehead.
Reticulating spines. Okay, there you go. Thank you, Bubblehead. But yeah, it's possible. Yeah, it'll probably be at some point, ND. Like, that's a... It'll keep going deeper and deeper into, like, this rabbit hole. It's already, like, 10 feet deep.
Joe has been struggling with the fairgrounds. You mentioned that. He's getting close. Any run that Joe gets out of fairground, counting on. Yeah, not good on the city though. On fairgrounds. Clever. Crack's so consistent though, going out of forest into cave.
Alright, sorry, I was asking these guys. They maybe wanted to do one last race. As you know, like it gets towards the end or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty. I mean, Crack had a legitimate shot so far.
Still felt like that input just died out right before the exit. She had a really good cave though. It would have been like a 38.
Yeah, I see that. That's weird. Waldo just decided to like stall.
And then nothing in the fairground.
So beyond Crack Attack, but I mean like the important thing, like Crack Attack got the God Subway, which is why he had a legitimate shot at breaking the record. So, but nobody else has even seen it yet. So there's definitely a correlation there. Yeah. Sorry, Rowdy. This is true. Like even like playing this like once as a kid or whatever, it's just the overall theme song is just stuck in your brain forever. It just never leaves.
Nope. Like that. Look at that subway on Crack. It's just. There you go.
But like again, it's like the 4th or 5th time he's had that one. So I do again wonder if it's consistency where he just winds up with that pattern, or again if it's like this random twist of luck. Because legitimate.
Yeah. He went for the mash there too, and see Waldo wasn't in the exact position. So He's just hoping Waldo's in that same position every time on train station. Yeah, Crack's the only one not going for the 955 manip, just mashing at start instead to get the topmost Waldo. Well, this is a very reset heavy run because you only have a second or two to lose in each section. So if they don't find Waldo basically immediately, it's going to be a reset, start over. Yeah, I don't know if Crack's gonna be happy about that city. He had a goal. Like, it was a pretty good position, but it's definitely not how you're gonna look. And he's got the second best subway, so it'll be a good time on Crack Attack, but not enough. It's a good some practice for Castle though, just to see what it looks like. And not too bad of a castle. Like, on pace, that might have lost a half a second, but not too bad. It's good just to see the moon every now and then. Jinxed it. Yeah, that's what Dave was saying. Like, you have to kind of sell your soul to get a good subway in this game.
Alright, sorry. I'm just checking to make sure. So the runners will keep going, it sounds like. They want to keep going until the end, so it'll just be resets until then. Which is A-okay.
They're hooked.
They
That's
are.
it. This could be going all night. I mean, not here, but the runners might be just, they're in it.
Well, yeah, why not? Like,
It's that level of determination, though.
3 more hours, why not?
That's what happens. You start getting close, you can't stop.
So what, lowest time for basically everybody so far has been, I think, like pretty much like 2:05 across the board, right?
Crack's stream decided there was
Yeah,
too
it's
many
like,
good paces.
yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry, you've reached 60,000 attempts.
Yeah, live split just broke. The Waldo cart just broke. But I think everybody has seen a 2:05 for sure, because FCJ did. I think Genome did for sure.
This past October, there was an uptick in Waldo sales, Waldo cart sales.
Yeah, on
secondhand.
eBay, literally.
Yeah.
People were like buying it for like that. There was like this event called Waldo October where everybody was running Waldo within the NES community.
Sellers were just sleeping on their sale, and then all of a sudden they woke up and they're like, "Wow,
I know.
I gotta ship this thing out."
That Waldo cart, literally up until that point, probably was on eBay for like 4 years. Like, and then everything just gets like overpriced overnight. Everybody buys it up.
Yeah.
You know, that's probably what happens now. All these like whatever events, Car November, like all these things. There's someone within the retro community like shadow puppeting like retro carts, figuring out what games on eBay should be like overinflated and bought out.
Yep, we're gonna have to see
So
Joe
who-
Gnome with a 205.
No, this is where we blindly point fingers and accuse people. And first person I will accuse is Endy. Endy in chat is like the master puppeteer. He's the one that's behind all these weird fads and stuff like that. Of course. I knew it, Endy.
I think
Alright, 212 is still
gotta
Thunder.
reboot up again too.
Oh, they're both having.
Yeah, there was competing November games. Lawn Movember, and Car November now. Or Car November and Lawn November. But Wild October. Plus you get, it's an easy Halloween costume, Waldo. Or Oddlaw. Or the Wizard. Whatever you want.
Did the Wizard ever have like a legitimate name, or is he just called the Wizard?
You know? What's a good
Like-
wizard? Like Merlin? I mean...
Come on, is it seriously Merlin? Like, is it that simple?
Are they stepping on the Arthurian copyrights? I have no idea. Do you think anybody was really named Merlin, though?
Do you think anybody's first name is actually just Wizard? Like, there's got to be like some actual name there.
Like Wiz the Wizard? I don't know. Like Zard? The Wizard
yeah,
Whitebeard.
Whitebeard Wizard. Yeah, okay.
See?
There
Like,
you go.
Whitebeard, blue hat. Like, I mean, they didn't try that hard.
They tried harder than just Wizard. Give them at least some credits, and
Like, look, I didn't like when I had like pets and stuff. I would have just went with dog. It's hard coming up with names.
honestly, somebody that I knew growing up had a dog named DOG, and I always thought, just hearing that, it was like some kind of like Australian instrument or something. And years later, when we were talking about it, they were literally saying like, no, dude, like the dog's name was actually spelled out dog, like D-O-G. And I felt really dumb, and I was like,
Where do you get Australian instrument from? That's like
From
a
The
whole other level.
Simpsons. No,
Oh,
dude, The
really?
Simpsons, that didgeridoo thing. Like,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
so like my brain always just defaulted where it was like, okay, maybe. But no, we just don't know how to spell three-letter words apparently.
Look at
Bubsy
that.
is next
Trying
big
to-
game.
See,
Maybe
that's
after
like
Boost.
puppeteering right there. Mention Bubsy in chat,
No.
and then all of a sudden, Waldo.
Bubsy. It sounds horrible.
Yeah, I started reading up on the Waldo lore. That I think he had two girlfriends.
Look at that.
Two
FCJ and Steel Thunder literally were set at the same time.
Let's go.
Provided that's
I
not-
love Sync. I love seeing Sync. Let's go.
That even if it's not, okay, definitely not the same video feed or whatever. But literally, oh no, Steel Thunder
didn't
not
like
having
that
it.
one. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean that was only frames off. Literally, I don't know. She saw something that she didn't like there.
Huh.
Yeah, I guess. Where's Wally for you UK guys?
FCJ had a weird cave, but good enough. 39.
Alright, so still no life from Crack Attack, it looks like. Or he really likes that split. Can't
Really take it in that train station.
Yeah.
You can look for that person that got stabbed. Like, oh yeah, there it
No,
is.
he's right there. Look, you can literally
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah,
like,
on
you-
the, like the blue, in the towards
No,
the
what?
right.
Literally, what's happening to that guy? Like, if you look at the very bottom of the train tracks and just go up a little bit, there's like a guy that's crawling on the ground. And it looks like he's been knifed or something.
Yeah, he's measuring the manhole or the hole. the
Why
holding
is
on for
nobody
dear
helping
life
this
to a
guy?
sword.
Like, legitimate
Got
stab
accident.
victim. Dude, he's crying out for help, and like everybody else is like, "No, I got a train to catch. Sorry, dude." Like, People are so horrible. What is like whatever.
Yeah.
But I saw that and it was like, help this guy! Like, all right. So Subway, what do you got? Steel Thunder.
Oh my goodness.
Still no. Grand Theft Waldo. There you go.
Yeah, in that city, it is pickpocketing. There's pickpocket Waldo.
What happens if Waldo did that to that guy though?
Nobody suspects Waldo. RNG is mostly, it's frame based, however it's really hard to play to the frame. So Waldo's position is changing, I think, every 7 frames. Or even tighter than that. So essentially, as you're going through the game, it feels random enough. You really can't memorize the position. Just the first train station is where they manipulate to the frame. They'll wait for 9:55 to play out, and the game starts automatically. And then Waldo's 9 out of 10 times lower right corner. And after that, though, unless you've played to the frame, the farthest position, everything else is going to be random.
Andy with the deep lore there. Can't get caught stabbing it, guys. That's why Waldo is hiding. Completely agree with that.
That's what makes the game exciting, though, because Waldo's position is you do have to execute and guess. So there's a lot of replay value versus just memorizing where Waldo is. I always hated that in the books. Isn't there like one scene in the books where there's everything is Waldo? And I always thought that was just like a trick. Like to find the real Waldo, it didn't make sense because everyone was Waldo. I felt bad for people that got Ice Climber instead of like Mario with their NES.
I ended up having Super Mario Brothers. So I think
the Waldo version.
I think we have like 10 minutes left, right?
Sadly.
Okay, so maybe Genome in the Batman Discord, what we could do, because I know Link to the Past finals are coming up, so not to obviously override into that. Maybe we can get like the actual personalities of the people here, and they can kind of talk about what went on and stuff like that for a few minutes before Link to the Past finals get pushed over.
Yep.
The only thing is, though, we would need to get them into the commentary Discord really quickly. Because I don't think they're using that Waldo Discord, so that's a technical thing. But maybe I can just pass them that link really quickly and can do that. Yeah, I'll help them out with that real quick.
Yeah, basically at this point, the runners have just been on grind, and you know, they had some paces. So I feel like this is one of the games where you start up and you just can't stop because you're that close every time. Just hoping that subway gives you the pattern you want. But a lot of the runners would just play this, you know, after grinding another game. Just jump into this, do a few attempts. But there's been sessions where they just gone, I think, like we said, Crack's gone like 24 hours of this. I know Joe Gnome's done at least 12 or 16 hour streams of it as well. Like just basically keep going. That's what it takes. And we have fun with it in the community. I mean, there is figuring out strategies. Like I said, there was new tech found hard. I think it's a good speedrun. If you're gonna get into speedrunning, this is a good one. You learn splits, you learn some manipulation, some tech. It's short, it's quick. It's good retro speedrun. Don't really have a lot to memorize. I have never played anything for more than for I don't know, I think even more than 8 hours. I don't know how to handle 48 hours of this. Although Gemfire is very much a random game too.
Hello.
Oh, we got Joe in here. Hey Joe.
Yo. How's it going?
How you feeling, Joe? After we're coming up on 3 hours.
Kind of upset. I'm not gonna lie. Fairgrounds did not give me any luck today. I think I got 2 runs out of Fairgrounds total.
Oof. Yeah, it was looking tough.
Yeah.
It was lots of Waldo. You guys gave it a good shot, so.
Crack, you had some spicy runs in there, though.
I tried, man. It's just too much Waldo in one day.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, so you guys just want to talk quickly about what went on and what happened?
Sure. RNG
A lot of
kinda...
resets.
Yeah. RNG was not kind to any of us in the runs. The best run was FCJ's practice run.
Like before we even started, I just did one run.
And he got a 201, which was hilarious.
And 201's not even that great, to be honest.
No, it's not.
Well, I mean, for the what we're pushing for, I mean, you know.
I know Steel Thunder, you had a few good runs hitting into the cave as well. It seemed cave between Steel and FCJ. It seemed like you had some issues in the cave, like getting the inputs in.
Yes, and I actually heard you mention that maybe I should slow down in my movement, and I kind of did, and the problem went away, but at the cost of losing a few frames. So I don't know how much worth it was.
I was also having issues in the cave. I kept getting fast Waldo, where you can't actually grab him with a diagonal cave. He's just a little bit too far to the right, and you can't grab him.
Yeah, and then whenever I got a good forest, I got a bad cave, and...
Yeah, you just can't get everything to align on you.
So maybe the one question that I had to Crack Attack is, what don't you see in FCJ's manipulation that you don't go for it? Or is it just you have like 60,000 attempts at this point, you're kind of used to what you do?
I just see like faster resets. Like in my mind, it's just faster, more attempts.
Yeah, and the time it takes me to do 100 attempts, he does like probably 120, you know?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's actually cool to know.
I try for every possible thing I can, instead of even like half a second is too much.
Yeah, no, because like everybody else is doing FCJ's manipulation, but you were not, so it's kind of interesting to see that. Because there's actually paces that you got out of the cave at 38, so you're about a second faster on some paces. So it's like, huh. Like,
yeah, it does save a little bit of time. It's very minuscule, but that's what I do. That's why I do it.
Kind of adds up in this one, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
So maybe the other thing is, we noticed you were set a little bit, all of you guys.
When did this happen? Tell me, when did somebody reset?
So because it goes by so fast, obviously from like the commentator side. If you saved your splits or you kept your splits or whatever, like how many times did you guys reset? Can you like easily eyeball that and see?
Okay, I'll check mine. I probably reset like maybe 150 times. That
200 something.
Yeah.
It looks like
150.
That's an eyeball for me.
Amazing though.
Quite a few.
It's been really fun watching all 4 at the same time go at this. It's just been a pleasure watching everybody.
one time in the entire 3 hours. Everybody had a run going for about 40 seconds. And then after that, everybody was like here and there, or somebody was like on a single pace or something like that. So it just shows kind of like how volatile it can be.
Every time I looked over, everybody was just going to train station or forest.
Yeah.
Just Waldo walking to forest.
Yeah.
Yeah, Waldo. Actually, to get out of the cave, it was pretty consistent too. And then after that, I think it took a bit of a dive in terms of consistency. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, at about an hour and a half in, I started wearing out. And I like wasn't paying attention anymore and stuff. So my play went down a little bit, I think.
Oh, I thought people were just warming up after the first hour.
No.
It looked pretty good. Well, I mean, look, all of you definitely have a chance. I don't know how much more you're gonna grind it after this, but and everybody that's watching, these runners have a chance, and they might whip out some Waldo action in between all their other speed runs. And you may end up seeing an improvement, or the sub 2. Somebody's going to get sub 2. It's just who would be.
We can
I
take
hope
a
to see it
long,
soon.
hard look at our lives.
Better not be till next October. Hopefully, we get some more.
I could have learned a new
more
language in the
runs.
time I played Waldo. I have over 60,000
that's one way to
attempts
look
after
at
this
it, but-
stream, so yeah. I really could have been doing something else besides playing this game forever.
Well, it's a cumulative thing, probably, right? Like, it's not like 60,000 attempts happened over 24/7 in the last like 3 years or something.
Over
So,
like 3 or 4
Oh my
years.
God.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like,
Want
it's
a
a
half
very
decent pace.
gradual thing. It just adds up over time.
And I reset a lot too, so there's that.
Yeah, and I was even saying that during like the actual race and stuff.
No, what is this?
Yeah, because I mean, like the amount of time that like you literally just said, like if I stream something, like if I speedrun something, there's no way that I'm gonna reset 300 times in the span of like 2 or 3 hours or something. So it adds up for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I just want to say, if anybody is interested in getting to know this game and running
Don't
this
do it.
game,
Stay away.
it's
Yeah.
very easy to learn. Truly. I mean, it's a 2-minute run. You could probably get a time like this within a month, at least, or at most. Just, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely easy to finish at least.
Yeah, it's an easy
Yeah.
run to finish. It's a nice run to waste time on too.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a nice run to just like, dip your toe into speedrunning. You pick it up and you within like 20 minutes you can get like a solid run,
Yeah,
It's-
true.
It's all the thrill of speedrunning with none of the hard part of actually learning a run.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can definitely throw like the link in the Discord there if anybody's legitimately interested in Waldo.
Oh yeah.
I think because have to like wrap up or whatever for like the link to the past finals, but individually, if you can all give an answer, we had some pretty serious lore going on. So why is Waldo going to the moon? Everybody give you your best answer.
To place a flag, or to be able. I mean, I think he actually does it in the final cutscene too.
I mean, look, I say he's going to the moon because that's the last place anyone would look for him. It's hiding.
Not fair.
Okay.
Well, you have to think about the red Earth in the background at the end. It happens that there's
Catch
too
up
many
Earth.
Waldos on Earth, so that they have to start moving to the moon from that point onwards.
That doesn't even look like Earth. Let's be honest.
I know, because Waldo invaded it.
Or like
All the
legitimately,
Waldo lookalikes.
like for real, like the Earth is exploding or something. Like Waldo could be like the last human survivor or something. Like that's real. Like there's no way that the Earth is supposed to be that red.
True. I have a question though. How rich is Waldo to be able to afford a rocket to take him to the moon?
Like the books have sold worldwide like 74 billion copies. Like I think he's financially secure.
He's got like a space suit. He's ready to go, dude.
Yeah. I mean, he's pretty covered there, I think. So what about you, Thunder? Why is Waldo on the moon?
Maybe he wants to use the cool rocket with the face on it. Have you all noticed the face?
His
yeah,
FFZ
I love
emote's
the
pretty
face.
good.
Yeah.
Waldo is Agent Smith, possibly. Alright, well, any last words you guys have to say? Or...
Thanks for having us. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know
thank
this
you.
wasn't like top tier speedrunning, but it's nice that you can put some of these obscure games in a little bit.
It's a really fun game. It's top tier speedrunning in Waldo. let's put it.
It's
that
no
way.
SMB one, but it's probably like
Better.
it's up there. Yeah.
It's
It's
like,
better, yeah.
better than SMB2? No.
But yeah,
Oh.
thank you guys for having us on here. We really appreciate it.
Yep, Speed Gaming. Thank you putting this together. They make it so easy. So
Yeah. Thank you, Speed Gaming.
and everybody that stayed and watched and enjoyed. Hopefully they enjoyed. Thank you so much for coming out. It's been a pleasure working with you, Dave.
Yeah, you too, son.
Looking forward to
I
more
like that a
Waldo
lot.
out there. Thank you.
It might have fit my quota, but
We'll see.
We can now all check this off of our bucket list.
Yeah. Alright. Take care, you guys.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank
later.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you guys.